Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe, hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and there's also a Ko-Fi, Patreon, crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So, a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Amish, Vitali Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, No Smart Comments, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, The Name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMails24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Hairy Blade, Mobile Mac 777, Dale West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Rob W, Blue Ridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to whoever is in Discord and Google so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
To hang out on the corner of the street or whatever and pretty much have a bank of snowballs. And then we just, oh man, I remember one time we were throwing it and one of my friends threw it and hit a car. The car stopped and we all run away like freaking National Lampoons or something.
Did you do sketching there?
Sketching?
Yeah. When a car
Is that
passes,
what that's called?
grab onto the back of the
I didn't
bumper
know
and
that.
yeah, no. Not throwing snowballs at the car.
Oh,
When a car drives
no, we had to
by,
do that.
grab onto the back of the bumper and you like it takes you for a ride. Called sketching.
And the only place I got any reference for that is like Back to the Future.
In Brooklyn, we did that on a regular basis. That's all we cared about once it snowed. Sketching. You know how many kids almost got hit by cars?
Guaranteed. I remember all my friends running away, and I'm just standing there because I'm fat and I'm not running, especially not in the snow. And I remember just looking at that car and being like, "Sorry."
We used to well snowballs at cars.
I was standing and I'd fall into the snow, and the snow was like 4 foot, and I'm falling. It's got to be at least like 8, 9 feet for a child, and it was just always so cool because it was a bunch of snow. You fell into the snow.
So what's going on? What happened over the weekend? The flat Earth. Anything else happened with FTE? Or
Yesterday
PFE?
yesterday I was watching a few things, Phuket World, and I was watching uh, who was it last night? Banjo. Mm. There's a few things, and it's just a bunch of. It's just looking at the fraud. It's just looking at the fakery.
Hey Steve, were you there with me
Last
when
night
they
though, it was
did that
cool.
Candace? Sorry to interrupt. Did you guys see that Candace Owen live call with Whitsit and a few guys? Was Steve? Were you there for that? I think APOC streamed it.
Oh, Candace Owens what's it got on with her already?
Yeah, it was like a private call, and I think Apocryphon was available to stream it, and he shared his screen, and we all watched it.
No, I didn't see it.
Brian is not going to be happy with this turn of events.
What do you mean? How
Not
Candace
Candace.
Owens?
Well, because Brian felt if they get in first, she's going to get infected with that ether eventually. So he was trying to get in there first before she gets infected with it. But she's a smart girl. She'll be able to see right through the bull crap, hopefully.
Over at
Which is
Banjos, we were, looking at the symbolism in her many social medias and all that good stuff. I'm not worried about what she thinks.
Yeah, I tuned in
Not,
for a bit, and basically they were just talking about how this doesn't change anything. They just need to understand the world better. And a few people are like, yeah, no one changed their minds. They don't know of anyone who changed their minds on the subject or on being flat earthers. Basically,
so
she
they
just
don't.
doubled down. Yeah,
Wait a
this
second.
changes.
Wait. So what's Jerem been saying for the past few days? They don't know anybody that's changed their mind. Supposedly the biggest flat earther out there, the biggest channel. He thinks it's a ball now.
Yeah, that was Candace saying that. Candace Owens said she doesn't know anyone, and she hasn't changed her mind.
Oh, I got you.
I've asked Banjo to come on. The Russian vids gave me his email
That's
address.
cool.
I sent him an email saying, when can we have a chat?
Comment? Is he coming on?
I don't know. I've only sent him an email saying, when can we have a chat? He hasn't actually replied yet. I spent a few days trying to get his email or Skype, and he hasn't got Skype anymore. So Russian vids gave me his email address.
Good.
So yeah, hopefully he'll come
Just
on.
finding out. Looks like
Almost.
Planet Peters. The grift is came out 2 days ago. 30,000 views.
You watched it?
No, just
You choppy.
I seen something with that Planet Peterson guy taking a shot at us.
well, am I choppy, Adam? How's my mic coming in? On
Yeah, you're choppy.
Yeah, I was saying it, but
I've noticed a few times. Maybe just for you guys. G+.
Yeah, just drop and rejoin because you're definitely chopping.
He chopping in Discord too much.
Yeah, Mush, we don't want you to kill the vibe here.
All right, Neil. Neil remembers. Some people, there were flat earthers, man, who were celebrating the 24-hour first day when Vincent and Jaron arrived. Apocryphon. You guys remember that? Neil remembers. Don't kill the vibe, man. Stop asking for evidence, man. We already believe it. They're there. Don't be conspiratorial. All I said is I simply don't believe it. Don't kill the vibe, man.
Doesn't
And
matter.
then he
either
sent
way.
me. Then he sent me text later, just as he's predicted. Back to the drawing board. I literally didn't want to continue session with him. I meant, what do you mean, dude? What do you mean back to the drawing board?
Oh, you're
Did you have
breaking up
something
really
drawn
badly,
before?
Mush. Maybe you need a restart or something because you're breaking up really badly.
Shit.
but we're with you.
I can hear you. It's just you're breaking up.
Yeah, I remember that day. Mush woke me up because I was like, yeah, wait a second. Why are we taking their word for it?
We're not.
There's nobody
We're
trustworthy
not.
there.
We're not. It doesn't matter either way. I can accept it at face value for the sake of discussion. I can reject it at face value for the sake of discussion. It doesn't make a difference either way. That's one of the things I want to talk to Eddie about. Like, in one of his videos, he said, if you just automatically accept that this is real, you're a shill. Like, I can accept this is real for the sake of discussion. I can accept it's real and then say, look at all these flat Earth measurements you've taken.
Yeah, we all know that.
Yeah, but
I understand
Nathan,
that.
what is your standard of evidence? Accept? Because I would much rather, not much rather, for accept Robert Shortman's testimony, the guy who never lied to me before in my entire life, rather than 10 people who are known liars and deceivers. What they,
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. I
sure.
simply don't believe
Well,
anything these liars.
I get it. But if you look at the content that they put out, I just take what they do, for instance, when they're weighing something, and point out how they'll need a flat Earth for it. Point out how they're taking elevation angles, like Brian did with Toon. I've trimmed that out and gone, they're taking flat Earth measurements. Now, you could take that as to say, well, he isn't explicitly saying he accepts this observation. He's just saying the measurements you've taken, regardless of whether or not they're based on a tent full of tellies or an actual Antarctic sun, are ipso facto flat Earth measurements. Doesn't matter if I accept what they've done or not. The measurement process that they've showed us on screen is flat.
Am I still coming in choppy? 1, 2, 3.
It's after about 5 seconds, actually, but good enough.
Banjo's video from last night would be it's just basically complaining, not complaining, I'm sorry, it's going over specific things about the masonry part. And it's nice to call shills when you see it, but it's weird to think that, like, oh well, now we're just going after masons. There's a lot of them, so
That's kind of what I'm suggesting. What would you prefer? We went after them for their credibility as Masons, or went after them for their flat Earth use? Which one's better?
I like showing people the flat part myself.
Me too. You hear Eddie Bravo? He was asked about this. What was his answer? Earth's measured flat. Right on.
Back with Jaren the other night. His answer was it
Eddie,
was flat. That was good. You did a good job.
Again? Again, Daz.
we only got like half of that. Say it again.
Oh, is mic check?
Yeah, you sound good.
Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Yeah, no, on Globebusters, I was watching Vax's call with Jaren. He was a bit nervous, but he did well. I enjoyed watching it.
Yeah, we reviewed it on Ballbusters.
Yeah, that's where I saw it. Yeah.
No, it's Jaren's changed his
Vax did
tune about
good.
why I'm a scammer. Nathan's a scammer because he better not say it's because science doesn't prove things, given I've just taken part in an experiment that's bullshit. It's because he gives arguments that people don't understand. That's why he's a scammer, according to Jaren, talking about me. Like, all right, not going to go with the same lines then. It's nothing to do with science when you're down there. Antipodal assumption, begging the question. Eh? Nothing to do with science anymore then. Reasons you call me a scammer, Jaren. What a shock. Yes, it's all very shilly.
Planet Peterson.
What about it?
Won it.
you've not covered it, or if you've not watched it, I mean, yeah, but not if you don't know what it's about. If it's a 20-minute garbage video with nothing for us to get our teeth into, then not necessarily. No.
Gonna be good.
Said it looks like about Antarctica. The grift is definitely over
Yeah.
2 days.
I saw his thumbnail too.
All right.
Well, you gotta admit, when they thumbnails like that, they're pretty promising and they never fail.
See, during Teddy like Bob.
Can you have a look at your sound settings, Mush? Yeah, just see if you've got like noise cancellation on or something. Down the bottom, there's a little cog. Then just go into audio and video and then have a look what's going on. See if you've got true sound or some stupid thing turned on. Well, we can cover it if you really want to. I don't know. From past experience, covering Planet Peterson isn't that much fun.
Nathan, is it bad to have the noise cancellation on?
No, but if he's chopping, then it is. So yeah.
Wait a second. I don't know if I'm unmuted right now, but I lost my Discord. Okay.
Well, you
Is it better
sound
right
fine
now? I
now.
reset the.
Whatever you did, you sound good.
Done. All right. I just reset the voice and video.
Well, now you're not chopping.
Alrighty. That's done.
Sounds good.
Excellent. That was getting very irritating, Mush.
Oh, sorry, bro.
Well, it's not your fault. Well, it is entirely your fault, but you know what I mean.
I just
Yeah,
don't know
Mush,
how
you're
these
killing the
things-
vibe.
Neil remembers, man. But yeah, man, I just wanted to say that you guys remember that first Sunday morning when Vincent and Jaron were there just for a couple hours, and when they claimed the sun does exactly what they say it does, right? You guys remember Apocryphon here celebrating
We critiqued
and
that
telling me
live,
not to kill the
didn't we? You were
not to
here
kill
while
the
we were
vibe in the room.
critiquing it. You and I, Mush, were here while we were critiquing it live, going, "What? They've only been there a couple of hours. What do you mean they're conceding? The
Yep.
ballers haven't."
Yep. I was told not to kill the vibe in a room. There's celebrations taking place.
Whose room?
And then later he came again and tell me, like, just as he predicted for a long time now, back to the drawing board. And like I said, I didn't want to continue talking to a guy because I didn't want to get heated. But I wanted to ask him,
Whoa.
wait a second, you've been predicting this? And what do you mean back to the drawing board? You mean you had something like drawn before? I don't know,
Wait a
man.
second.
Like I said, it was like never
Apocryphon said
mentioned
that?
these 24 hours. Yeah, Apocryphon, dude. Yeah. Yeah, telling me don't cry about it. Trying to tease me, dude. They're like I'm upset about it or some shit. When I'm like, what the dude? I don't care about this. It's meaningless. It does nothing for me. But he's coming back telling me don't cry a crow. Like he's literally teasing me in a few different comments, dude. Telling me just like I predicted, back to the drawing board. And again, I didn't want to continue conversation, but I'm thinking like, dude, like, what do you mean back to the drawing board? You had something like drawn before, so now you got to go back to this drawing board because Jaron is the same guy that I heard the same statement. Back to the drawing board. Wait a second, these are
Yes.
flat earthers, dude? I don't know, man. Apocryphon. We gotta talk. There's a lot of flat earthers, seems like, who are thinking back to the drawing board with this 24-hour sun.
Good.
I
Let
don't
them.
know, guys. I never.
None of them knew it was
Yeah.
flat. They were all dicks who didn't know the score.
How do you sit here morning after morning and not get that? That's the thing that troubles me.
Yeah, man. Imagine traveling thousands of miles across the flat ocean to a place where very few people can go, to a place where very few people can go to observe the sun and to declare the shape of the ground. Mind-blowing stuff. And the fact that
And
this was going
not
on
prove
for months,
anything.
bro, that they swindled everybody's mind to talk about this nonsense for months. Do people get into it so deeply, dude? They're like, that's the whole social experiment, dude. The whole distraction and confusion, and then that, yeah, but like, I don't know, dude. It's wild, man. That this has anything to do with the Earth being flat or spherical.
Do
Well,
you
you heard what
care?
Jaron said, right?
But do you care? Seriously, you said Apocryphon saying, "Oh, back to the drawing board," because that's what Jaron's saying, correct?
I don't know if that's what that's why he said it, but obviously he thought something about the 24-hour sun way before everybody, because he's saying back to the drawing board. I'm like, what do you mean back to the, like, what did you have drawn before? Whoever talked about 24-hour sun as a proof for anything,
Back to the drawing board
right?
is a way of, that's Brian's
Well,
suggestion, that
verse.
this is just a way of hand waving 10 years. Oh, well, back to the beginning where we didn't know anything. No. Maybe for you. Good. Bugger off. You flat earth
Right, yeah.
believers.
Exactly, yeah. That's my point, bro. Excuse me.
Well, it can't be flat because you can't explain what the sky's doing.
Ordered myself.
Maybe that's part of the psychological part. I'm sorry, Nathan. Go ahead.
I was going to talk about acoustic panels. It's fine. You go ahead.
I was just thinking maybe that's part of the psychological op part is, we've got these people who at least have pretended to be our friends for like 10 years around us. And now they're over here and they're like, back to the drawing board. They're like, oh, well, it's definitely not going to work on a flat earth because this is the flat earth. And they show us a map or something.
Or powers that be would like to see, let's see how many real people really are out there, so they can get a better number on us.
Who's they? We do this. Will Duffy did
Powers
this.
that be.
Are you under this misapprehension that there's this hidden hand behind Will Duffy? No. All of the things that we experience in our lives are within our control, done by people, and we watch them. We see them do them, and then we ascribe some hidden hand. It's silly.
It's not Conspiratod Wednesday.
Hidden hand is going to bend level. I understand that.
No, what I'm saying is, Jaron started out the other day by saying that Earth is measured flat. Everything about it is flat, right? And then goes on to say, but it matches, we can't explain what the sky is doing. That's why he's gone back to a ball, or saying that it matches perfectly with the globe. So that doesn't make sense to me.
It doesn't make sense. It's his purpose in being here. It's the only conclusion I can draw. He's dragging everybody under the bus. And when it comes to me personally, you go, well, what's his assessment of me when he drags me under the bus? He hasn't got anything on me with the AA map, has he? And when a subscriber, Vaxi, went and put it to him, he's like, what, you making this stuff up? Oh, you mean when it was out? In other words, he's well aware of this stuff. So what's he got over me? Nothing. So he's going to revert to type, call me a scammer, and then realise he hasn't got the same leverage that he previously utilised with scamming with science. What the proof therein? That you're down, antipodal assumption, in Antarctica, utilising, he can't leverage that anymore. So why does he want to leverage anything? Well, because he wants to decry the notion of Earth being flat and say that the ball works. Well, what are we doing? We're talking about how the ball was created with the flat Earth measurements, mathematically. You can't reify it into existence and say it better explains a physical observation. It's maths. Maths made with flat Earth measurements. It's absurd. So he has to decry certain aspects of what we do, specifically, antipodal assumptions, fallacy use, and science, in order to be able to make this little magic trick of, well, the ball works better for his audience. So he's a shill. That's what he's here for. Of course, it makes no sense. The only thing that he's interweaving is any argument that needs hand waving over the last 10 years, followed by, well, it works on a ball. What, the one that was made with flat Earth angle measurements? The ones that are all being produced by the people who went down there by assumption. No, they're just producing flat Earth after flat Earth measurement. There's nothing to decry. If you want to say, well, the ball explains how the lights in the sky work better, what, and then reify that maths? No, thank you. But he will, for his audience, and say it works. It doesn't work at all. It's just maths.
Trying to bring us back in time to where we didn't know certain things, where we didn't understand that certain things are concrete and we can't get around them. They just want to ignore that they even happen, that they even exist.
Jaren's
If
here
I
to be,
put
to be the flat Earth mouthpiece for the anti-flat Earth arguments over the last 10 years. So big it's measured flat. So what's he doing? Well, he's taking that which we've now weaponized. Oh, right, so he's basically telling us it's measured flat then. And reverse Uno'd it. And gone, oh, well, it's so big it's flat. And you're like, no, that's what they were originally saying. We've overcome that by pointing out the measurements are flat. It's not still an argument. Jaren reiterating it as a flat earther points to only one thing. Shill. His purpose in being here is to get people back on the ball. That's what he's doing, quite literally. Good for us. We've benefited. The amount of people that have come and gone, I've unsubscribed from these grifters. A couple of people have come back and gone, I unsubscribed from you based on what Jaren told me. Now I realise how wrong I was. You go, bloody hell, I never expected that. Admittedly, only a handful of people, but enough for it to be noteworthy. Me going, oh, okay. So you buggered off and then realised that Jaren's a scammer and then came back, only to be congratulating me on my material and how we prove Earth's flat here. Yeah, we were when Jaren was calling me a grifter. That's why he was doing it. Oh, I'm sorry.
that tells you about the person. That's good that they've done that. They've assessed the situation and realized that you were punting the truth the whole time. Let me resubscribe and get educated. I don't care if it was 2 people that did it.
Yeah, a couple of, well, it's more than a couple, but one of them was like saying, you've stuck to the exact same rhetoric you were talking about when I left. In other words, making a point to let me know that they left at the behest of people like the grifters who are being called charlatans and shills. And pointing out that the rhetoric they decried at the behest of people like Jaren is the same as it was now. It's just the only difference is they're using it in defense of a 24-hour sun that's inconsequential now, as opposed to calling me a scammer for it.
It still feels really good to see other people seeing it, you know, and people that I don't know, screen names that I've never seen before, saying things that are very true and very obvious, and they wouldn't say that before.
Not what I wanted. You know my desire and ambition when I was going to people like Jaren, Dave, whoever, and saying, learn this science. This is how we've been duped. So to have them repeatedly turn around and call me a scammer, now we know why. But my desire was to get Jaren to be putting better arguments to all of his audience. He just didn't want them, did he? Because they got in the way of getting people back on the ball in the long run. In fact, they were quite detrimental to getting people back on the ball in the long run, so he decried the origin, me, as a scammer.
That's what it seems like now. Wow.
At least you tried.
Yeah, but my desire was to get that audience to know Earth was flat as well. Now, I appreciate that you could go, well, you've benefited. Half of the flat Earth pretender clown believers have buggered off as a result of this, and the ones that seemingly knew something was awry came back and found out Earth was measured flat the whole time, because that's our rhetoric and always has been. The fact that some of their pretender clowns who are trying to get them back on the ball are saying it, they say it with no substance behind it. They say it and then say things like Home Depot's wrapped around a ball. They're using it to get you back on a ball. Unbelievable. That can be the only conclusion. Why else decry all the things that would have avoided this situation in the first place? Well, because this situation was very much a fait accompli. It needed to happen. They wanted it to happen. Now it's happened. Get as many people back on the ball as possible. With deceit and mathematics derived from flat Earth measurements called heliocentric. And say that they work. There's no work being done here. It's nonsense. Balls is up everything to do with navigation and mapping. The globe, that is.
Well, according to the Morgile, the only reason he's not using your arguments is look at your subscriber count, Nathan. Come on.
Yeah, what, the subscriber count that's been held back by people like Jaron telling people literally that I'm a scammer? People like Dave telling people not to watch and that they don't. People like those scumbags, grifters that have been grifting the money out of people for apps and having consultations about dick lifts. These are the real grifters. But of course, look at his subscriber count. I've gone to great lengths with my larger audience to make sure he doesn't grow. Therefore, don't take any of what he says seriously. What? Because you're going to go down, antipodal assumption, to Antarctica to beg the question of being on the bottom of a ball, to suggest that the maths taken with all the measurements that coincidentally are also coming out of Antarctica prove that we're on a ball. And it's so big, it's measured flat. Jaron's just a glorified anti-flat earther in place, like the Pied Piper, to lead everybody off a cliff.
No, Nathan. Jaron is a hero, man. We should welcome Witsit and Jaron as our heroes.
Welcome them back, heroes. You know, Patricia Steer really pissed me off. I made one comment in the chat when Brian was on Mark Sargent, and she kicked me so fast because I had something to say about that.
This past, no, Neil. Patricia wasn't supposedly. She left the quote unquote flat earth community because of its toxic nature. Because most people calling these guys shills instead of
I know.
welcoming back as heroes. Yeah.
Right,
Mark
so I
Sargent
left
said
a
she left
comment.
indefinitely.
That's what she gets for wearing that shirt.
No. I didn't even know she was in chat. And I was just responding like laughing out loud. I was like, oh, go away. They deserved it. They brought it on themselves. The next day I went to say something else and I was in timeout for the whole night. And it was her.
Was it from
Supposedly
her?
she was in chat.
Oh, okay. Because Mark Sargent said, like before the show started, that she left because most people calling these guys shills and like because everybody's a toxic, quote unquote, right?
This now
she
or
left
last time she left?
No, this is now. She supposedly
right now,
left. That's what Mark Sargent said. She's not here because she usually does the show with him. It was just the DJ Curious guy, Brian, and Mark Sargent. And he explained why she wasn't there. So I just left a message to the audience and I was kicked. It turns out she was in chat, though. It said Patricia Steer, and I think he mentioned that she was in chat. It was her in chat.
Okay. So she disappeared for a substantial amount of time because people were toxic. She's come back and is now saying, I'm going to disappear because people are toxic. Is that correct?
No, man. Before the show started, when Mark Sargent had Brian on, Mark Sargent said that Patricia's theory is not with us anymore. He doesn't know when she's coming back. She's gone indefinitely because whatever, the way everybody's treating these guys.
What, Jaron and Witsit? Sorry, these guys that called me a scammer. Witsit called me a grifter. Jaron called me a scammer because I talk about what science does and how it proves things. They've gone down and grifted with an experiment, but she's buggering off because we're calling them shills. I see.
And that's what pissed me off because my next comment was, where were you when they were calling Nathan a scammer? And it didn't go through because she timed me out.
Oh, I see. So your comment about specifically them doing what she's moaning about, according to Mark, got deleted. I see. Oh, it's nice that Patricia is around when I was being called a grifter and a scammer to defend my virtue. Oh, she's just around to defend Jaron's virtue, having not been here for a substantial amount of time. I see. And when it does get mentioned that she wasn't around and that I was being called a scammer, that gets removed. How lovely. Some of us hung around Patricia in case you get to listen to this. Yeah, and found out how Earth was measured flat, so we know for sure and without a doubt that Earth is flat. Unlike people like Dave who say, quote, it could be a really big ball, end quote. Or the ball explains it better, end quote. That's Jaron and Dave. Or Whitsitt, who's just a liar, who lies through his back teeth incessantly. So what, we're not allowed to call them out? And if we do, you're going to bugger off and get all feelings about it. No, these people are scum. Degenerate scum, affecting my living and ability to feed my kids by calling me a grifter and a scammer. My dedication to this subject, the one you walked away from and are now seemingly doing it again. No one gives a toss what you've got to say on this subject, Patricia. Stay buggered off this time. Don't come back for a third time. It's all right. We can do without you, love.
That's exactly what I said. Go away.
What are you going to do? Interview people? Well, that's really useful. Meanwhile, we'll deal with the measurements of Earth while you interview a bunch of clowns talking about ether and their journey through flat Earth like it's still 10 years ago. No one gives a toss. Alternatively, maybe support the people who are still here telling people how Earth's measured flat. When you hear people like Eddie Bravo or Karen B talking about how Earth's measured flat, know where they bleeding got it from. It wasn't from Jaron telling them that, oh, well, Home Depot's measured flat because it's a really big ball. That's not where they got it from. I absolutely assure you, the reason people are still sticking around is because they've got something to fall back on. And they got it from us. The ones that Jaron and Whitsitt are so freaking precious about, called scammers and grifters. But know the score, Patricia. I'll trim it out and put this freaking name on it. I'll put your name on this, Patricia, so you can damn well know what I've got to say about this. They are scum. You don't like them being called scum? Well, stop them being scumbags. Don't bloody run away like, oh no, everyone's getting called names. Yeah, I was. It affected my bleeding ability to feed my kids. Oh, where was Patricia? Was she also precious about that? No. Fat freaking chance. She's come back.
She's got to trim it out.
She's come back to get precious about Jaron and Whitsitt. The hell?
That was my point. I didn't see her going above and beyond to try and protect you from these people calling you a scammer.
No, like
I didn't
Dave
hear a
Weiss.
word from her.
It's like Dave Weiss did. Oh, I don't watch Nathan. To an audience after being specifically asked about me by name, he shut the conversation down and made an audience explicitly clear that they're not watching. Oh, really? Weren't defending your fucking Bitcoin, Dave? Lying piece of shit. Yeah, these people are all scum, Patricia. Absolute scum of the earth, bottom of the barrel, and deserve calling out for it. You want to run away? No. Stand alongside us and call them out for what they are. Scum.
How are you?
Hey, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
I'm good. I'm kind of fair to middling, let's just put it that way. So, on the one hand, I'm very pleased. So, in the aftermath, now that the dust has, let's say, seemingly started to settle after the final non-experiment, I've benefited. It's been all upside. So, on the one hand, you're like, great. But as we were discussing in the pre-show, there are certain individuals out there that are being called chills and grifters and scammers, pretty much like I was, by the same people, that are in need of defence by various other individuals for their actions. Like, what? What's going on? Why is it the case that the people I appeal to, simply because I wanted them to put better flat earth arguments out to their audiences, I get decried, called a scammer and a grifter, and then when they go out and assume they're on the bottom of a ball and use flat earth based measurements in a heliocentric format to claim that they're better off explaining light observations with a ball derived from flat earth measurements. And when they get called shills for it, somehow that's an issue. I'm like, no, these people are flat earthers decrying the best of the best arguments and the people who put them out as scammers and grifters so that they can turn around and tell their bigger audiences that the world's a ball. A big ball that's measured flat because it's a ball. Now, that is irritating. Like I say, as much as people out there in years gone by have said, look, if you keep trying to appeal to Jaron and Whitsitt and Dave with these good arguments and them turning around and calling you a scammer and a grifter and telling people that you shouldn't watch, things like that, The more you do that, the more people will think that you're part of that grift. You're part of that scam when they get shown to be scammers. Now, luckily for me, that hasn't been the case. People haven't associated me with Jaren and Dave and Witsit and all the rest of the flat earth believers / anti-flat earth grifters, because that's what they're turning into. Meanwhile, we're still in the same position as we've always been, just without the support of people who seemingly had big flat earth channels. Well, they're now null and void. So what are we left with? Us. With actual flat earth arguments. Now, it's nice to hear that when people go scrambling because they think there's a consequence to the azimuthal equidistant globe projection being debunked, they must get a decent argument behind them if they're asked about it. Now, that's good, because they're going to us to get them. How lovely that you'd come to the scammers and grifters, according to the people you're now rejecting, to get a decent argument about how Earth's actually measured flat. Maybe you could claim that you've been saying it forever. I don't know. Either way, it's nice from that position. It'd just be better if the 150,000 people that were subscribed to Jaren remained in the know with good arguments being put out to them by him on both sides. That's to say, not 150,000 flat earthers are subscribed to him. People of all sorts of walks and beliefs. Flat earth beliefs, globe beliefs. Some of them might even know Earth's flat because they've come to us. But either way, it'd be nice if all of those people had decent flat earth arguments put to them. But instead, when I attempted, to put those arguments to those people, we got shouted down, told that we were scammers. Just something like TFE comes along for them to actually require those arguments. Because they didn't need them, did they? They didn't need to make people know Earth's flat when they were calling us scammers and grifters. Me, not us. For trying to give them those arguments. They just had the ear of everybody regardless. People believed it and were happy and content with their beliefs in flat Earth. So why do you need good arguments that prove it? You don't. In fact, getting those arguments, well, no, I've got an ether to sell them. That requires belief, so don't want to get too much into the proving things game. Best not do that. Let's call anybody who does, offer empirical evidence of a flat Earth, call them scammers. Very irritating. Because I would, like I say, prefer not just the benefits of TFE growing my channel, increasing my revenue, wonderful things that you'd like to happen, but not as a result of a whole bunch of people who could have had their belief turned into an actual knowledge, deserting us on droves. And then a load of apologies from the people who still stand by these bleeding grifters and scammers and shills to say how we shouldn't be attacking them. No, we absolutely should. Unlike when they attacked us / me. This is actually justified. Shout out to Stephen Davies for the super chat. He says, how many flat earth depots make a globetard, Jaren? Yeah, precisely. Thank you for the super chat.
It's not only that, Nathan. It's annoying because they come on and they say, well, let's work together, when they just say in passing that Earth is measured flat. I mean, we tried to work but when you say you, it involves us. We're all involved here. We tried. They rejected.
Me when I say specifically going to Jaren and debating with him about his utilisation of anti-flat earth rhetoric from McToon about tangency when measuring baselines, single points when measuring lines, assuming dangling dingleberry earths when measuring the surface for an angle. Those sorts of things. Again, getting me called a scammer and a grifter and so on and so forth. But heaven forbid people call them names.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. We tried. We reached out. They rejected and called us scammers. But now, when their scam is being exposed, it's like, well, I was hoping we could work together. No, that's okay.
Yeah, Witsit came here to tell me I was a grifter to my face. Why am I being called a grifter by Witsit? Oh, because I point out his overt lies, with demonstration of his lies, with him chuckling and giggling about how he's going to have to double speak, because he's lying. And then he calls me a grifter in the face of those facts being pointed out to him without address. Oh, well, you're a grifter, Nathan, is the response. Okay, yeah, roll forward a couple of weeks. Can we work together now that everyone's calling me a shill? No, we can't. You're a liar. Witsit's a liar. He's proven liar. He's proven that. We proved it before he went to Antarctica. Now that everybody knows because it's so much more egregious. Yeah, we already knew that Witsit's a liar. We confronted him with his bleeding lies. And what did he do? Call me a grifter. Same as Jaren. That's what they do. They project their ineptitude, failures, and lies directly onto the person accusing them. It doesn't matter that they've got obvious, overt evidence to those facts, they still just turn around and call them grifters, them being me in this instance. The reason we're discussing this, in case you're wondering, because we haven't actually explained why. According to Mark Sargent, Patricia Steers ducked out of Flat Earth temporarily because everyone's calling Whitsitt and Jaron scammers and grifters and shills. Like they were calling me for trying to educate them in science and decent flat Earth proofs, elevation angles, Earth measurements. You know, like they called us. But apparently when Patricia had already ducked away once because of the toxic nature of flat Earth, she's come back and are now ducking away again because heaven forbid anybody should call out the egregious nature of what's actually occurred and everybody can see it. Heaven forbid that people should get annoyed and call these people shills. Heaven forbid. Obviously, Patricia wasn't around. She'd already buggered off because of her, you know, sensitive nature. She wasn't around to defend my virtue when I was being called a scammer by the same people she's now defending. According to Mark and her reasons for not being there when Brian was on the show. That's Strange World. Subscribe today to Mark Sargent, who we will get around to actually talking to in person at some point. It is necessary.
Yes, it is, because he just says Earth is measured flat. Shout out to Nathan Oakley. Come on.
That's fine by me, but, you know, having some substance behind what those measurements actually are rather than being a punchline or a strapline or a selling point. Like, no. The way you sell something in this regard isn't just offer up the unique selling point with a strapline, catchphrase. That's not good enough. You have to explain why.
Exactly.
But we're going back to basics. This is too advanced. We need people to understand what science is and what it isn't. On Brian's most recent video, he's picked an aspect of it. Good on you, Brian. Pointing out that people are bandying this word around, prediction. Like, yeah, it's another hijacking of the scientific methodology that's used to offer empirical evidence. Proof, in other words. So when you make a prediction, in science, that's called a hypothesis. What was the first thing I asked Will Duffy for when he commented under my video? The only communication I've ever had with Will Duffy. He's not contacting me about a free ticket he didn't have. That's just a lie from a fraud, just to be clear. The only communication I've ever had with Duffy was to ask him for his prediction. That's a hypothesis. Did he give me one? No. He's a fraud, a liar. He's scamming you with science. Same as Jaron. He's a scammer. Yeah? Now, when Jaron was calling me a scammer last time around, it's because I was saying science proves things. That's to validate hypothesis, actualize scientific predictions. Predictions, you say? What, like they used the globe to predict what would happen in Antarctica with their experiment? No, that's fraud. Fraud that's not being called out because most of the flat earthers who surround themselves with this garbage think it's consequential and don't know what science is. Have we take Jaron or Dave? Whitsitt was slightly more receptive. But then he quickly cottoned on that it would destroy his ether grift, so he stopped being receptive pretty quickly when he figured that out. You know, he wouldn't want to interfere with his science grift with ether. But when it comes to Dave and Jaron, I spent the same amount of time with both of them trying to educate them on this stuff. So they wouldn't be in an awkward situation where when Will Duffy is punting science and predictions. What, hypothesis? Yeah, I called him out immediately. Immediately. What's your hypothesis, Duffy? What's your independent and dependent variable? Because that's a scientific prediction. If it's an experiment, that's what you'll have. He didn't. He's a fraud. It was immediate. Second I communicated with him. / he communicated with me. Now, the rest of you flat earth numpties out there, you need to start getting with the program. We're going to start disciplining you with this stuff over the course of 2025. The pink writing will come out and we'll be explaining to you how the scientific method proves things. It's a validation process for an assumptive cause for a phenomena you observe in nature. That's the process. Observe natural phenomena is step one. Duffy and his cronies of shills and scammers didn't even comport to step one. They hadn't even observed it when they started making their predictions. Step one, observe natural phenomena. Then formulate the prediction for the cause of the phenomena that you observed in step one. What's that? They're going to go down and see if there is or is not a phenomena to observe and call that the conclusion? Yet you're all being scammed because you're all ignorant of science. Now, we're going to be the remedy to that problem. Any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics?
Negative.
Why have we been asking that question for 5 years? Because you need a hypothesis to make a scientific prediction. That's what it is. A hypothesis is a scientific prediction. So when we say any viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics, we're telling you in the question, they're scamming you with science because they don't have any valid hypotheses. They just pretend to make predictions that aren't actually scientific.
Or they use time as an independent variable.
Yeah, we'll get to Dave McKeegan eventually. That's on the docket. Probably do it on a Ballbusters because it's such a useful tool. Or, to put it more accurately, Dave is such a useful tool. That's been formulated, that question, off the back of a different scientific question, because typically we had a line of attack from our opponents with regards to their utilisation of hijacking of the empiricism science offered, and they did it with gravity. Any scientific evidence of gravity? Any wonder why we asked that question? It's housekeeping. Keeping these things alive so they never get forgotten. So when someone comes along and says, "Where are the guns, Nathan?" we go, in the housekeeping questions much? No, what we do ask in the housekeeping question is any scientific evidence of gravity and any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics, so that anybody can go back through any of the shows and see what we actually talk about here. And it's the hijacking of the empiricism of science. Those two questions exemplify those facts that we detail here. Shout out to Dazza888. The basics are all that's needed. That's why I love FED. Thank you, Dazza. The basics are always being disseminated through our airwaves. Why? Because we do housekeeping. So people can't strawman us with guns and say, he's been saying for 8 years that there's guns stopping you. No, we've been asking housekeeping questions very consistently about science and the scientific method. We've got 2 of them. Thank you again for the super chat. Really appreciate the support. Smash that super chat if you want to support that channel. PayPal links below this video. 100 people watching. Very warm welcome to all of you. 106 people to be exact. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Smash that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. If you want flat earth information, you'll find it here regularly on the live shows. We are mostly 99% of the time only going to be talking about that subject. That's what we do. This is Flat Earth Debate. There is no debate. Earth is measured flat. The title is merely a namesake, an ongoing namesake, because we figured out quite some time ago that there is no debate. Both sides of the debate, if you want to perceive there to be one, utilise flat Earth measurements. So there is no debate. Earth's measured flat. Welcome to Flat Earth.
It's true.
Big shout out to Eddie Bravo. I saw a clip of Eddie Bravo saying that exact thing. Shout out to you, Eddie. I couldn't have been more proud when someone's saying, "What are you going to say about the 24-hour sun?" It was probably someone on his side, so I shouldn't really pretend it was some blober being brutal. It wasn't. It was somebody that was a friendly. But nevertheless, you get the sentiment. And his answer was, "I don't know, Earth's measured flat." That was his response. You're like, yeah, if you were here, I'd fist bump you, mate. That was awesome. Shout out to you, Eddie Bravo. Sorry, what were you saying, Adam?
It was true. How what were you saying? We need the horizontal part, and they need the horizontal part, and there's no getting around it. And no matter what they can throw at you, no matter what kind of topic they can throw at you, they're just ignoring what is already there and what we already see. So it's pointless to fight it.
Yeah, they need a flat Earth more than we do. Refracted curvature. So in his exasperation when dealing with a flat Earth debate and a fundamentalist zealot's telling refracted curvature how flat he will be measuring it for his argument to move forward, and not allowing refracted curvature to stop him and say, welcome to flat Earth. In his exasperation, he said, you guys need a flat Earth more than we do. Yeah, because they're making positive assertions, whereas flat Earth debate aren't necessarily making any assertions. Don't need to. Saying Earth's measured flat's one of the very few things that we make as a positive assertion. You could say, well, you make a positive assertion that the sky is not a vacuum. No, that's not a positive assertion. There's a positive assertion that it is a vacuum, and we point out a law of nature that decries that fact, as claimed, as being bullshit. That's not a positive assertion. I'm not claiming the sky's anything. I know we must be under containment, but that's an antecedent-consequent relationship. It's not a positive claim. You can't start claiming that antecedent-consequent relationships are positive claims. No, they're just facts of life. Same as laws of nature. They're not positive claims either. There's very, very few things we do make positive claims about. We stand on the fact here at Flat Earth Debate that we're more limited in our understanding of the world after finding out how we've been lied to and deceived and misled into believing we're on a mathematical reification based on flat Earth measurements. That's the heliocentric globe Earth paradigm. We're not, but that means I know less about what the sky is now. I've got a better understanding of how heliocentrism came to fruition and how they used flat Earth measurements to create a ball and move it around the sun. I know that really well, but I used to think that's what the world actually was, and that looking out at the sky, as I'm doing now as I speak to you, meant I had some semblance of understanding of what that was. I have no idea anymore. I'm more ignorant than ever. But it means that I don't fall into the trap of making positive claims. Now, there's going to be a whole swathe of flat Earth numpty idiots that are packing up their bags and leaving as we speak, because they have made positive claims that they couldn't back. And those positive claims that they couldn't back are now being used against them by anti-flat earthers. Now, in that process, none of them are armed with the facts of the matter that Earth's measured flat to hand-wave this garbage like Eddie Bravo so effectively did. Now, Karen B also attempted to do it in defence of the shills, Jaron and Whitsitt. Also at my expense, because it was pointed out to her. No, not everyone. It's not just Nathan that says Earth's measured flat. Oh, really? It's not like we've spent 3 years describing how you'll need a flat Earth for that, how all roads lead to a flat Earth, and then topping it off in 2024 by saying Earth is measured flat in no uncertain terms. With all the pushback alongside it, it's just Karen B has decided that this defence doesn't need to be ascribed to the person who actually originated it. That's me. It needs to be, like Jaron and Whitsitt have been doing for so many years, echoed in terms of the sentiments that you shouldn't ascribe yourself to anything I do or say when she steals this argument. I mean, what's Karen B think she's getting it from? Home Depot's on a bleeding globe? Now, you're not getting Earth's measured flat from that, Karen, I absolutely assure you. You're getting it from 3 years of us looking at the flat Earth measurements, describing how all roads lead to a flat Earth, how you, in debate, will need a flat Earth for that, and then pointing out how, why are we even debating it? Earth is measured flat in all instances. Not so biggie we measure it flat, just you measure it flat. 121 watching, please share the show. But more and more people are doing it. I see it in the comments. I go to people's videos when they ask me to respond to them. Most of them we haven't, I'll be honest. There's a whole list of them that may or may not get responded to. They're all saying the same thing. Why won't flat earthers pay attention to the 24-hour sun? What about it? You haven't laid down a claim. There's a 24-hour sun. Okay. You're telling me in this rhetoric that I'm ignoring it. I've just said, okay. A tacit acceptance. What's next? Oh, well, I assumed I went to the bottom of a ball to observe that. Well, that's an antipodal assumption with an affirming the consequent fallacy. So that's not proving your point. Next. Well, your flat earth model fails. I haven't got a flat earth model. That's a map. That's a globe projection. You're saying your globe projection fails. That's not mine. I'd already debunked it. So what have you got? Nothing other than to say, look, there's a 24-hour sun. Proving dick, unless you start offering some measurements alongside it, as they have been. And what will those measurements prove? The Earth is flat. That's how they're measuring Earth. They're measuring angles. Like elevation angles. The ones that functionally must be utilised with respect to the equatorial plane, as on screen now. You're not measuring lines of sight through angles when you're inside a ball. No. You're using the equatorial plane, lads. We've been telling you Earth's measured flat and all roads lead to a flat Earth for a number of years. You'd think you'd have listened. But the flat earthers didn't listen and neither did the globe heads, which is good in a way, because they went down to Antarctica by antipodal assumption and measured Earth flat. The antipodal assumption was destroyed before they even left, by way of pitch data. The journey was flat, they arrived flat, and then they measured Earth flat. What's that? Flat earthers don't like the 24-hour sun. Couldn't give a toss. What does it prove? You haven't got a map. No, shockingly, we've had about 500 years of people trying to deceive us that the world is a sphere and distorting every map that's ever been presented in modern times. Is that my fault? I haven't distorted it with globe projections. But somehow, because you and your globe belief have led you to take these globe projections as being useful maps, now blame me for not having a correct flat Earth representation. I'm not a bleeding cartographer. Why are you measuring Earth flat for your globe projections, is my question. So yeah, it's been, just to round out this, 25-minute rant. Very positive, but I still don't feel enthused. I would have much preferred that Whitsitt, Jaron, Dave, all of them, fell in line with actual flat Earth proof, knew how to overcome non-experiment pseudoscience with antipodal assumptions in Antarctica before they did anything and made us all look stupid. Ideally, I appealed to all of them to understand this stuff, and they all just turned around and called me a scammer. And yeah, that's meant that all the people who would have disappeared in light of this from my channel as well had already gone. So all I saw was a net positive. It all benefited me. Saw an increase in subscribers. Wonderful. Telling me how, oh, well, I actually deserted you because Jaron told me to because you were a scammer. Turns out you were right all along. You haven't changed your rhetoric in the slightest, and now they're using it. After calling you a scammer for using it initially, as weird as that is. Yeah, it was quite detrimental to my ability to earn money. But it doesn't affect me now. The sting has long been dissolved. It's gone. They can't take any more subscribers from me. I can only have a net positive in the face of what is considered to be what? One of the worst things that could have happened to Flat Earth in 10 years? Not for me! Not at all! But like I say, I'd much prefer that Jaron, Dave and Whitsitt were actually on board with decent arguments. Not decrying science because it affects their ether grift. Not ignoring the fact the azimuthal equidistant globe projection is not only a North Pole-centric globe projection, but it was debunked 8 years ago. Because they need to grift it on an app that sold for $5 a pop. You know, all these people, these mercenary sods that needed to bleed you, the flat earth person with money in your pocket, dry, they would have been much better served with actual decent arguments rather than just trying to bleed the pockets of every other flat earther out there. That's what they did at my detriment. But now here we are with everybody jumping ship because they only believe Earth's flat. Me being the last refuge for the numpties that stick around with a belief and need something better, and then hopefully they'll find their way here. Me, like I said, I'm unaffected. Just hoping and wishing that things were different. That the huge numbers that have been built up are, well, in actuality, they could have only been built up in the way they were because they were being built up by a controlled opposition leader that was going to lead them off a cliff. And anybody who had decent information was going to be decried as a grifter and a scammer in the process because they need to be led off a cliff. Heaven forbid, if you're out there listening, Patricia, that we should call them grifters or scammers or shills.
I was going to say, Nathan, that the problem is, and I saw it the other night when Brian was on Mark Sargent with the DJ Curious guy, is that they're listening to what ballers are telling them. Who cares what they tell you? You know Earth is measured flat. Whatever they say means nothing. But I think you're right. For them, it was all about grifting, selling apps, and making money. Because a child can understand this when you lay it out for them.
Yeah, you don't need me once you know this information. I mean, it's tenuous in the respect that once you're a flatty because you've come here, found out it's measured flat, appreciated it, and then gone, I can get on with my day. That's because most people don't actually want to engage in debate. They don't want to argue with their neighbour about how Earth isn't actually a ball and how your ball came from flat Earth measurements and this is how the system's created. Because you're going to be fighting an uphill battle for 3 hours with that person, even if you did understand the arguments. So most people don't want that in their life. But they do kind of want to know what the score is. That's why they're looking. So they get here, they go, oh, right, Earth's measured flat. Oh, yeah, all instances of globe mass come from those measurements. All right, so it's flat then. I can get on with my day. Yeah, that's right. Unless you're somehow concerned about your evangelism in Flat Earth, or my evangelism in Flat Earth, in which case you might support me with cash, because you want me to stay around. But beyond those things, you just get on with your day. You don't need me anymore. Likewise, you wouldn't need Jaren. But if there's an ethereal truth out there that only they have, that they'll sell to you with a science scam, then obviously you'll hang around indefinitely. Because you're just on the cusp of finding out the truth, aren't you? No, that's not what we peddle here. That's what we had peddled in our community for the longest time. Maybe some of them will still stick around and still retain their shillery in light of this TFE garbage that proved nothing, except for the flat earth measurements that keep coming from it, which we find very useful. Yeah, we'll work our way through them. All the people who, once the dust settles, are still around and a big name, we'll be like, okay, good job, you're still here. Do you know for sure and without a doubt Earth is flat? What's that? Could be a big ball, Dave. No, you need some educating, I'm afraid. Yeah, by us. Yeah, let's not have any crap where you start calling us scammers because we're telling you science proves things and showing you how it has advanced humanity. Yeah, best not call us scammers after that this time. Yeah? Just listen, pay attention, and don't get fooled, you fool, like you did by Duffy. Yeah? Didn't catch us out. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people getting whipped into line by us. And we're going to have to take that authoritarian stance. And I was chatting with Brian on the phone the other day, and I said exactly the same thing. While we were having a good old moan. I'm like, well, actually, we're in a slightly bizarre position now, which is to say we have to take that authority. So while I'm sitting here bitching and moaning about what people say, we've got to get past that. Now, I don't mind doing it while the dust's in the air, because who cares? It's inconsequential till the dust settles. So moan away. But once that dust settles, you're going to see us lining these people up. I've already started putting in the moves to make that the case with various different people, Dave included. Most recently today, it was Eddie Banjo saying, I want to talk to you. Yeah, I want to arm Eddie. That's what I want to do. I want to arm all of you. I want you all going out in shining armor that's blinding to the opponent. They can't even fricking see. That's how shiny your armor is. And if they get even close to you, one flick of the wrist and they're beheaded. That's what I want to offer. To Eddie, to Dave, to Jaren when I was doing it. Not anymore. They've exposed themselves to shills, haven't they? Why would I want to carry on as I was attempting to get them to bring their 150,000 subscribers in line with flat earth proofs and measurements and a decriance of pseudoscience with truth and proof offered by real science? No. We can't do that anymore, but there will be people who remain. And they need these arguments. They needed them before now. They were just told, don't look over there. Nah, they're scammers. Don't look at them. Well, now you need us. Or you'll have buggered off because you'll be back on the ball. Good. It's been the purge. We didn't want you here anyway. You didn't know, so you weren't helping. You thought it was useful to talk about conspiracies and ether. Maybe a bit of 9/11, maybe a bit of JFK, maybe a bit of clone centers, a bit of Mandela effect. Throw it all into the mix to make us all look stupid. No, well, we're better off without all of you, I'm afraid, if you're one of those people. Now, there are exceptions to every rule. There's people who actually do research this stuff, that know what they're talking about when they talk about masonry. Those people, more power to you. Just the bullshitters and the charlatans that I'm tired of, and it seems this purge is getting rid of a lot of them. Yeah, watch this space. Hopefully we'll get a few of these people in line and they'll come and talk to us, or we'll go and talk to them and say, right, let's not have a repeat of what's just happened. We need to know what science is. That was not an experiment. It's all well and good you saying, oh, it's just an observation, because you were debate parrot rhetoric. Good for you, debate. Great. It's nice that you're getting that message out there in the diluted form that you are. But not an experiment. Yeah, why isn't it? That needs to be explained. People need to understand why it's not an experiment and why it'd be useful for Duffy to peddle that fraud so that everyone believes, as they were taught in school, that it does prove something. That's why he used the word. But people need to be educated. It's back to basics. We've been saying it on Ballbusters. We're starting to hint at these things in the shows. Once the dust settles, TFE dust, We'll go through it with each and every one of them, the people who remain. Hopefully Mark, who's typically in the past been the most receptive, will be the first in line to do it. But all the others that have approached, be it Banjo, as I'm talking about it today, or Dave, as I talked about it a couple of days ago, whoever, I don't care. If you're going to hang around talking about Flat Earth, fool you once, right? You've been made to look stupid. I say you, because that's not us, not me. We haven't. Where's the guns? Do you think that was embarrassing? No, we laughed at that, didn't we? 128 people watching. Awesome. Please share the show if you've not done so already. It's just 2 clicks. 130 people watching. Going up by the second. Smash that share button.
Nathan,
Yes, Mush.
we have a globe believing guest in the voice chat. Maybe he has some questions. Or Lautrec, good morning. Would you like to say hello? Do you have any questions?
No, I can't right now. I'm still working. Yeah, I was put in vacuum mode. Wasn't given a reason yet. Just
Yeah,
curious.
we'll talk about moderation another time. Do you have any
Okay.
questions right now?
Fine. No, since I can't talk continually, maybe later.
Have you learned anything new since you've been on this server? You've been here for quite a while.
Yeah. Some points came up. Yeah, maybe I can't differentiate between you guys and 24/7. I can't remember if I heard it here or on the other server. So, but as I said, I can talk maybe later. So go on for now.
No worries. Earth's measured flat. If you are a globe believer, your globe came from those measurements. Just so you got something to digest in the meantime.
Yeah, he's always in the chat, that guy. I know exactly who you brought up to the plate, Mush.
Yeah, we had a couple of conversations. He's actually non-responsive. Usually he doesn't listen when you tell him anything. He just kind of waits for you to finish talking so he can get on his whatever he wants to tell you. But just wanted to give him a chance. Maybe he was gonna behave differently on a live show instead of trying to run us in circles. Because people usually do behave differently when the show is live.
You did bring up
Yeah, they say
anyway,
they can't talk.
Yep, no pressure. We'll talk another time.
Talking of Flat Earth 24/7, so I got the impression from a discussion that occurred on Ballbusters on Saturday that there's periods of time where it's a bit dead in 24/7. So I might suggest that we actually frequent there, like maybe once a week. What do you think?
I think that's a great idea, Nathan. Yeah.
Well, it was people were going to the wrong site. It's actually you got to go to politics, and that's where everybody is. So I was going to the wrong place.
Well, we know
No, why?
politics. Yeah, the
I'm sorry.
24/7 Discord server is what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about politics, right? We've done politics for a year. Did you know that, Neil?
Yeah, but I'm saying when you go to 24/7, there's nothing there. But if you go to the politics,
Yeah, I got that.
then they're there in another
I
group.
got that. Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. That's a perfectly moderated, serviceable Discord server that's not being utilized enough. And I'm saying, for whatever reason, there's people that are moderating it, there's people that are putting the effort in and keeping that server running, and it's underutilized. Now, don't get me wrong, it's run by the same people who run a much more popular server, politics server. Okay, I get that. But that doesn't mean that that's not a serviceable, usable server that could attract people. The more, the merrier. I don't want to go, well, we've got Flat Earth debate. Well, we've also got politics as our alternative. Let's just let that server fade away over time. It's like, well, let's have 3 servers that work. You know what I mean? And if that one's losing a bit of interest to politics, and it's the same people doing it, it's like, well, that shouldn't be the case. Let's just use it a bit. It'll build up a different crowd. It's a different server.
Let's go. Let's go now.
No, we've got a server full of people currently, but I'm saying we'll make those arrangements and sort out a different politics server, a politics alternative for a Friday, where we can be better utilised. Politics, the last time we went on politics, go and listen to last show in the list of live shows, right? If you're a live member of the audience now, go and listen to the last live show. What number are we on today? Let's just have a look. 54, I think it is, 205, 2254. So go and look at 2253, right? And it's in politics. And at the moment I arrive, there's ballers getting absolutely annihilated with Earth measured flat. You don't know what science is, elevation angles, Polaris measurements, latitude. They're just getting hammered, right? And it's everything I could ever want in terms of the rhetoric. So what you know when you feel like you've served your purpose somewhere? I feel like that's the case in politics. They've been so hospitable to us.
Shout out to Jedi.
Shout out
was
to the whole
annihilating
server.
them.
I say every time we leave, their moderation is exemplary. Their hospitality's unprecedented. They stay out of the way for the most part in terms of when stuff is getting heated. They know when to make their presence known. More importantly for a mod, in politics this is, they know when not to make their presence known. Just awesome. I couldn't be more delighted with the outcome. And that's collaboration in the truest sense. So, given that we've done that for a year and our ends have been achieved, shouldn't we now say, well, let's start hopping around for a month and find a different server where they're like, oh no, we'd be really welcome to have you. Because I was welcome, I'm not saying I want this, but I was welcome like a bit of a celebrity in politics. Like, we've got the great Nathan Oakley here today. Everyone hush tones, shh, have we got any questions? Well, I'm not expecting that treatment. It was lovely, don't get me wrong. But I'm sure there's going to be a server out there that would be better served once a week for us to go in and say, oh, by the way, we're here to tell you that Earth's measured flat and this is what science is, because it hasn't been happening to date.
Yeah, but I don't think you should do it on a scheduled date. Just when we decide, then we go in. So that way you'll attract people, and if it's ballers, they're not going to come.
That's just rude.
You're there.
No, that's just rude. If someone just dropped in this server and was like, I'm making a show, people have done it. I'm making a show, so can I ask you this question? I don't give a crap what you're doing. But if you've got an arrangement, well, if you've got an arrangement with the server, then you come in and you say, right, is it okay if I broadcast my show from your server on this day? They go, yeah, of course. You could have just. They'll normally say something like, you could have just come in anyway. It's just being polite, isn't it?
No, I'm not saying don't ask them. I'm just saying, but if you give the date, like they knew we were coming in every Friday and less ballers were showing up. And if they did, they would just sit there in silence.
Yeah, but every show, there was at least, on every single politics show, at least one actual debate with a baller, without exception. Every single one. So the people in that period of time over the course of the year got to hear how the arguments dragged the anti-flatties and globers round by their short hairs.
Yeah, I said shout out to Jedi the other day because that was the one who was annihilating the guy in politics.
Yes. Yeah, it'd be nice to have an extra link to 24/7. You know, as much as AI has ruffled people's feathers the wrong way, he's still his ambition is to promote and retain the 24/7 server, and I'm all for it. You know, it's another place that could be populated, and for whatever reason at the moment isn't. Now, as you've already pointed out, they've opened up a new server called Politics, and that's much more popular. And lots of people who were frequenting the 24/7 server are now frequenting the Politics server. Fine, but that doesn't mean that we can't still use it. It's there and it's moderated.
Yeah, I think it'd be a good idea. You know, the other night I turned up in Politics and Jedi this is the first time I've ever seen this or witnessed it. A guy turned right on the spot, came in full-fledged baller, and just with gas pressure without containment, Jedi took him through it, and the guy turned around and said, so wait a second. So then what I'm hearing from NASA is a lie. Why would I believe them anymore? All right, yeah, you're right. I was blown away.
Quick shout out to Divergent Droid. Just one sec. Divergent Droid just put a link to the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord. So as you can probably gather if you're a live audience member, we will be popping into this service. If you in future want to participate and you're unaware of that server or aren't already, whatever you do to it, I don't know how the little terminology is, subscribe to the server, join the server, whatever it's called. There's the link going by. Divergent Droid just put a link to it. go and check it out, because there's a good chance that is a server, Neil, that we will just jump in periodically, because I'm not concerned that they'll go, how rude. They're very much on our side. So it's when I'm saying we can't just drop into random man's gaming server and start talking flat earth is what I mean.
No, I understand. I was just sharing that story because it blew me away. I never witnessed that. Like the guy changed within a 10-minute conversation.
That's what good arguments do. You can't, if you're reasonable and you understand how the earth is made to be a ball, then how can any reasonable person continue in their rhetoric? They can't. If their ball rhetoric comes from flat earth measurements, can they?
No, they can't. And the guy actually thanked him. Said, thank you. I was like, wow.
So Nathan,
Cool.
just one more thing back to the servers. There's another server, like a sister server to a politics that AI shared with us yesterday or a couple of days ago. It's called Politics and Religion, and it's pretty much the same format and the same group of guys 24/7 have a room on that server too. It's also a big server, so I'm gonna get a link and post it in a Skype.
Well, that's ideal timing, isn't it?
As far as what?
Ideal timing.
Wait.
So it's a room they've acquired in someone like with politics, right? They're running it from a server that's all sorts of different topics being covered, but they're maintaining their hours and doing all that stuff in someone else's moderated server. But it's a different moderated server called Politics and Religion as opposed to Politics, correct?
Right. Yep.
Perfect timing, because that's going to attract a different group of people. So in the same way I'm saying, well, there's already an underutilized server. Well, now they're branching out into different servers. Oh, this is perfect. This is exactly what I want. It's just, you have to, it's like making a snowball. You can't let bits fall off the side of it and just carry on rolling it. You've got to put them back on. So you have to maintain what you've already built up.
I like it. The snowball effect. Let's keep putting the pieces back on.
Yeah. Shout out to Vidali, who says, just want to say thank you. I've been able to successfully debate on Instagram comments with no rebuttals when I bring up measurements or air pressure. Oh, couldn't be more delighted to hear it, V. Thank you so much. That's what I want to hear. That's all I want to arm people with. That's all I wanted to furnish Jaron with, which is why it's upsetting. And I've said this many times. It never upsets me when, like in politics the other day, someone was like, do you get all upset about ballers? Do you spend time thinking about, but I can't remember what the question was, but it was phrased something like that. And I was like, no, I don't give you guys a second thought. Irritating when you interrupt in the moment, but beyond that, I don't care. But the people who do care about are the people that are perceived to be within my community. That's to say, Jaron would be someone who, when they turn around and call you a scammer because you've tried to educate them in science, that hurts. Like, that really hurts, because my motivation for talking to him in the first place is to better the flat earth community, to better push the arguments that work. That I'm getting super chats with people saying, no one's got a rebuttal when I point out Earth's measured flat. You're like, well, how can you rebut that? You're not offering it as a debating point. It's a point of fact. It's a statement of truth based on reality that you can go and check if you want, but it's you don't need to. That is ipso facto the basis of not only all Earth measurements, but their globe belief is based on it too. So it's like, this is stops it being a debating point. So yeah, I get the phraseology. I'm not getting any rebuttals, but yeah, but it's because you're not entering into a debate anymore. You're just telling them it's flat because it is. You can't lose then, can you? But by the same token, Lee might go, I don't need you anymore. I can get on with my day. And you're like, yeah, great. Glad you gave me a $5, but you can get on with your day now. I know you've super chatted before. I'm just using it as an example. But I'm just saying, it's not conducive with saying, but the real truth about the ether, that's just behind this paywall. Thanks again for the super chat.
Morning, guys.
Hey, Chocolate. If there's any other servers, I mean, that politics and religion server sounds great, and I'm sure we will end up making our way over there, and it might end up being the formatting that we originally had with politics, which would be ideal if we can wangle that. Let's hope. Either way, if there's other servers, if you are in the audience and you are a part of a server, doesn't matter if it's completely unrelated to the subject, But you know there's a Weasley way of us getting in there because you know one of the moderators, you know the owner of the server, and you just happen to say to him, I happen to know somebody who runs a discussion on this topic, as you mentioned it. Would it be possible to get him in our server as a guest at some point? Or get them, that's Flat Earth Debate, into the server for a guest appearance? Now, if you're that person, I'm sure there's tons of you. People network on dozens of servers. They're not just in ours or 24/7 or politics. Most people are, me not even knowing what I'm doing, I've got about 20 servers listed on the side of my Discord. Well, when it comes up in the discussion, if Flat Earth gets mentioned, just feel emboldened and go, why don't I get that Flat Earth Debate team over here? I can wangle it. Nathan Oakley 1980 at AOL if you want to send me a AOL.com if you want to send me an email and say, hey, I've got this person that wants to go talking Flat Earth smack in his server and I've suggested you go. Can you go? I'll be like, yeah, definitely. But yeah, people know Discord, right? Discord's popular. So you might see us around and about. We'll see as we move our way through 2025 where we find ourselves as the year progresses. I mean, no doubt that our services, if you want to call it that, will be useful elsewhere. Beyond the politics server, I mean. Oh, thank you, Vlad. If you just posted is that the link to get me into politics and religion? Thank you very much.
Yes, sir. That's the link. It just seems like the rooms are locked, so I'm gonna have to talk to AI.
Okay, well, we'll
See
figure it
what
out.
do we do.
I'll click on it after the show and see if I can go through the process of joining and stuff and see what it was.
Mhm.
What, if you know what I mean. A couple of new names in the Discord server. How's it going? We've got 10 minutes left on this live stream. If you did have any questions, pain to share about final experiments and things of that nature, feel free. Don't be shy.
Final what? What are you talking about?
It's alleged they observed a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, Neil.
But that's not science.
No, it
Sorry.
is not. Maybe Duffy will get back to me now he's made the first step in the scientific method of observing a phenomena to let me know what his scientific prediction will be, given that I asked him several months ago without reply. Instead of replying to that question, the only communication I ever had with Will Duffy, he just lied about having some ticket he offered me when he didn't offer me and hadn't communicated with me and there was no ticket to offer. Well, that's frauds for you though, eh?
He lied about a lot of things.
He did.
He lied about some video he had, which is a lie.
Yeah, Will Duffy's a compulsive liar. He even goes before his congregation, justifies biblically how lying is perfectly acceptable. So yeah, the guy's a compulsive liar. And not only is he a compulsive liar, he will justify to a congregation of Christians how that's all cool. Anyway, as the measurements from TFE roll in, we'll point out how they're measuring a flat Earth as they do so. That's what I did the moment they were releasing material at all. I went to it and showed how they were measuring a flat Earth when they leveled their instruments or measured angles. So yeah, so far so good as far as we're concerned, because it's all roads lead to a flat Earth as usual. Hopefully we'll have Banjo on. When I get in touch with him, I'll pass him on the link if I can arrange a time. Ideally, it'd be now, like during the show. And where is Banjo anyway? Is he in Japan?
I think he's in Japan, right?
Yeah.
Japan.
So what time is it in Japan now? I would ask Siri, but anybody know? Is it a convenient time for him to be joining a flat Earth debate to discuss Earth being measured flat and science?
Well, Jin was in Japan as well, wasn't he? Isn't he
Yes.
still?
Yeah, he occasionally joined, so maybe he might be joining at 3 a.m. for all I know.
I haven't heard from Jin in a while.
Now.
Say again, Adam?
Midnight.
right now. So at the end of the show, so
Right now in
11 p.m.
Japan.
It's not horrendously late for him. 11 p.m. I mean, it's late, but
Not for flat earthers, it ain't.
right.
There is no time.
But the reason I picked Eddie is because number one, I've been offered his material more and more and more, and I know why. Algorithmically, he's defending the AE map still, isn't he?
Yes,
Right.
that
So,
he is.
unbeknownst to Banjo, he's helping. How can I phrase this kindly? Retain the false dichotomy. Let's just say, to put it kindly.
It's just coming up for midnight, Japan time. Okay.
There he is.
Hey, Jin, we were just talking about you.
I was saying I haven't heard
Yeah, how
from
you
you.
doing?
Very well, Jin. Good to
Happy
have
New
you.
Year to
You too.
Yeah, do you know what happened?
You got a
I
new
locked out of my
computer. You
account.
sound much better than you normally do.
Yeah, I got locked out of my account. You see, that's what happened there. From the beginning of October, had problems, couldn't verify my account. Right, so I managed to get it done today. That's why I've been here. But I've been watching you lot on the YouTube. Okay.
Jolly good.
Ah,
Jolly good.
yeah.
We'll have Banjo on, hopefully.
Yeah, and I've been-
It's a bit of a regret.
yeah. Flat of Banjo. He's in a place called Aichi Prefecture. That's where he's in, Aichi. Okay. 2 daughters, Japanese wife, and that. Yeah, they're having a good time of it. He's all right. I like Flat of Banjo. I'm not a Christian, so when he does the religious thing, good luck to him there. But I like the work he's done regarding the Gleason's map and the flight routes and the emergency stop off points. They're very good. Okay.
Yeah.
Witsit can't stand them.
Oh, yeah. Why not?
I know. But which shits it though. So what's the problem?
Yeah, but what's the issue that Witsi would have with Banjo other than his AE map use? But isn't he in alignment with that in terms of his going down by antipodal assumption to Antarctica? I don't really get it. What's not to like?
According to Witsit, there's something in his book that's wrong.
Exactly. And Witsit is not the authority on anything, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so let's not get too above our stations.
No, that's not what I'm asking. I'm asking what would Witsit have against Banjo?
He's called him a liar.
He was in here.
Banjo.
He was in here that morning, remember?
He was calling Banjo a liar.
Yep.
No, Banjo has called Witsit a liar.
Well, Witsit is a liar. Oh, well, okay, I think I'm reading between the lines. In the same way as when I've called Witsit a liar to his face, giving him examples of him lying specifically, and then him lying in response, and me pointing out that in response to me pointing out him lying, he's having to lie to me. Witsit called me a grifter. In the same way, you're saying Banjo's called Witsit a liar because he's a liar, and then Witsit's turned around and called Banjo whatever he's called him. Correct?
Yep, I had the conversation with Witsit. So
yeah, but didn't it have to do with something with the book? Or Witsit was claiming there's something in his book that's wrong.
he's saying his flight patterns don't actually.
Yeah, the flight
prove flat
patterns.
Earth. And
The flight routes. That's what he's talking about. The flight routes are wrong, and they're not wrong. The flight routes are not wrong. He's done it. He's done his homework very well. He's been due diligent, and in the there's one video he put out called 16 more flights that prove the flat Earth. Okay, in there he solves a problem from the 1970s where a Korean Airlines aeroplane strayed into Russian airspace momentarily, and they were threatened to shoot that plane down. And when you compare the Gleason and the globe, on the globe map, there was no way it could have been anywhere near Russia, right, on the globe. But when you look at the Gleason's map, you could see how the plane strayed into Russian airlines. And this is a 1970s problem. Mystery. Brilliant. The guy's brilliant, man.
As I said just before you joined, Jin, I just want to arm everybody, Eddie, same, with really, really good arguments and leave them bulletproof. Basically, that's what I want. And up until now, we're not. And in the case of Banjo specifically, his allegiance to the AE map is to his detriment. Now, he may not know that, and he may have every justifiable reason when questioned for why he's taking the approach he is. And it might even be correct. However, that specific map is being used in a false dichotomy, and he's helping perpetuate that.
Yeah, but the map is proving to be more accurate than the globe, right? And you've told people it measures flat. So until a proper map comes along, I'm going to use that map and flog everybody that wants to take me on. I'm going to do that, no doubt about that.
But it's a globe.
That's my standard.
It is a globe. It's a globe projection, though, isn't it? It's a globe projection, though, Jin.
Yeah, it's a globe projection. I get that. But when you actually see the roots on that map and you try to superimpose that or extrapolate that onto the globe, it doesn't work at all on that globe globe thing. But on the Gleason's map, it does work.
But the Gleason's
that's the thing.
But the Gleason's has come from the globe. It's projected points from the spherical surface, projected in an azimuthal equidistant fashion, north and south.
Yeah.
But from a north pole centric position.
I get that. But the layout's still a little bit different. Somehow the flight patterns work much better. There is one or two anomalies in there, okay? But like I said, until a better map comes along, I'm going to use it still.
But why?
That's how it is.
But that's my point. So if you say, well, until something better comes along, well, yeah, okay, I get that. And that might be perfectly valid under normal circumstances. But it is being used to stack up in false dichotomy. So, yeah.
Well, on Banjo's defense, I just want to say that Banjo's position is that there is no 24-hour sun in the South. So he's taken up that mantle to say that they are lying about what they observed down there. So
yeah, but that's what Nathan's talking about.
Just a quick shout out. Shout out to Chow Yun Cat. Thank you very much for the super chat. Do not be yoked together. It's come off screen. Do not be yoked together with unbelievers, for what do righteousness and wickedness have in common? Or what fellowship can light have with darkness? Thank you for the super chat.
That's correct. But that's exactly what Nathan's talking about.
What am I talking about,
But
Neil?
when you say... No, because Banjo is saying that there is no 24-hour sun. That's a positive claim that he's making. So he's defending that positive claim. That wouldn't have anything to do in particular to how Earth is measured. But that is a take that he's been, planting his flag in, sort of thing.
Okay. So sometimes we will discuss how it's just as offensive to say what something isn't as opposed to what it is, because as you just pointed out, that is a positive claim that he's making, isn't it?
Yep, correct.
So like when I say, oh, the sky can't be X, someone can rightly say, well, you're making a positive claim if you do that in isolation. Hence, our housekeeping question is phrased as a question rather than a positive claim. But if I make that as a positive claim, the sky cannot be a vacuum, then I'd have to defend my positive claim. Now, I try and phrase it in such a way that I don't need to, mostly because I'm lazy. I don't want to. Can't be bothered defending it as a positive claim when I don't need to. And that's true for Banjo. He doesn't need to defend this.
Guess he feels like he does, Nathan, because you know what? At this point, I wonder, does Banjo even know that the Earth is measured flat? And did these words ever come out of his mouth?
Well,
unfortunately, I don't think so, man.
That is my primary concern. My primary concern is his, regardless, let's say we take everything, it's again the same, because it's inconsequential, I can take all of this as positive and affirm it. Okay, it is the best map, Jin. It's until something better comes along, that's as good as it gets. It does do a really good job of representing flight paths. Blah, 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 blah. Agree.
Thank you.
Hold on.
Thank
Agreeing
you.
for the sake of discussion. That wasn't just me agreeing. Bloody hell. Right. With that in mind, go on. Go ahead. Go on. Someone was chatting around.
I'm just saying I know. Sorry to interrupt you. I'm just saying I know. Please carry on.
I don't affirm it, though. I'm just saying, for the sake of agreement, when it comes to the detriment that that map, aka the azimuthal North Pole-centric globe projection, has in the discussion currently, it is, fact, being used to hold a false dichotomy. And Banjo, therefore, whether he likes it or not, is keeping that false dichotomy alive. That's why I tried to preface it by, he might be right in his stance. It doesn't alter what that tool, in this instance, this globe projection, is being used for, past tense, and is being, present tense, kept useful for by Banjo. That false dichotomy is kept alive by him. So it's hard, it's a tightrope where I've got to explain to him, I'm not saying you're wrong. I can agree with everything you say if you wish. And the only reason I can, and this is kind of Neil's point, is because I know Earth's measured flat. I can hold this position whether or not I choose to agree with it in reality or not. I can entertain this position because it doesn't affect my worldview as a whole. Yeah. But for you defending it and saying there isn't a 24-hour sun as a positive claim means you keep the false dichotomy alive.
Yeah, but Banjo has stated categorically that the Earth is measured flat on several occasions. Okay? So Flat Earth Banjo does know that the Earth is measured flat. If you watch his material, you will hear him tell you that.
I get that. I'm not suggesting and wouldn't suggest that Banjo doesn't know it's flat, right? He's one of the earlier people I've contacted, right? Unfortunately, people don't like this tough luck. It's one of the reasons I got in touch with Dave almost straight away. Admittedly, to jab him between the ribs and absolutely rip him a new asshole while I tell him he's going to be taught about what Scientism is going to hang around. Indirectly or directly, Dave's going to get learning about this. Either I'd choose it was in person with him. Indirectly, if he has to find out from the grapevine from everyone around him by osmosis, I don't care, right? Dave is going to hang around. Now, that might mean that Dave's just your average guy who's just trying to screw a few app sales out of people because that's his nature. But he's not a shill, he's just mercenary. He just saw an opportunity to flog this map and did. Good for you. But if you're going to hang around, you better not get into this tricky situation again and you'll avoid it with science. So I've told Dave, I've contacted him. Now, tongue-in-cheek while we talk about these people being shills, I don't buy any of it. I hope you all realise that as an audience. Shills, what are you talking about? What hidden hand? If you don't get the contradiction and the irony and the sarcasm when I'm calling them shills, because I point out there is no bleeding hidden hand here. Will Duffy went out and did this. What do you mean the powers that should not be want blah, blah, blah to happen? No. There's a ticket on offer, he paid for one. Why is there a hidden hand? Right? Shills? Shilling for who? No. Jaren just wants you back on the ball. How do I know? Because he's telling you that. Now I can label that shill. It doesn't matter. The facts of the matter are unchanged in terms of what he's doing. Isn't he doing it? Yeah, he is. So who cares what I label him after the fact? That's what he's doing. Right, well, Dave, he wants to hang around. He wants to continue being Flat Earth Dave. He's fallen back to type and started talking about bleeding 666 and 9/11 and Sandy Hook. Yeah, okay. Well, if you want to hang around and be Flat Earth Dave, learn about what science is, like I've already tried to educate you twice. And then you won't fall into these horrible positions where your app's suddenly at risk and you're losing money. I don't actually want that for Dave. If he does want to hang around, I actually don't care who hangs around. Banjo, it was kind of a bit of a nothing burger to me. No offense to you, Banjo. I was subscribed to you, but you were just one of those, just another person I watched. Now suddenly you're a person of influence to me, same as Dave. The people who are buggering off as the dust settles, they'll bugger off. If Dave hangs around and Banjo hangs around, it's like, right, let's get into alignment so we can prove Earth's flat for the next 10 years, instead of lining ourselves up for a false dichotomy as we did in the last 10 years. Yeah, Banjo's just another name on the list. Hopefully he responds to my email.
Yeah, Banjo's been around for a while, and I followed him all the way from when he came on the scene. I liked his work. I liked the way he was proving that the flight paths work on that Gleason's map. It was good. I felt he was underrated. He wasn't getting enough credits for the work he was doing, but he just kept on doing his thing. Instrumental in getting many Brazilians to become flat earthers in Brazil, by the way.
Yes.
Which is where he's from.
Well, selfishly, right? that's another reason I'm interested in him. Absolutely. So after TFE, that's become really, really obvious. Now, he had hinted at it before in his videos that I'd seen. Now he's really leaning into it. You're like, right, you're more in tune with them than I actually realised. So as an influential flat earther, he's got more power than he realises potentially. So again, that's another reason I want him on side.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. He's definitely a man that's worth having because he does do his due diligence. He's pretty good, and I like him.
I should have realised it's in his freaking channel name, isn't it? You know, I should have twigged.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
And then also he did put out a model as well. The video is called "Flat Earth Model Destroys the Globe Forever." Right?
Oh boy.
And he pulls out a working flat Earth model and challenges the globers to make a working globe model with water cascading, real water cascading on that globe, and ships and aeroplanes circumnavigating that globe. And they never took that challenge up, did they? But yet he produced his flat Earth working model, and it was beautiful. So I liked him all the way from the beginning, man. He's good. He'll always be in my good books.
Fair enough. I don't know him well enough to cast judgment in that regard. I just know he's a person of influence. He's in our community, and at the moment, he's good, and he's also, for whatever reason, been trapped into something that's bad. Now, that's not necessarily to say that he's wrong. It's just to say that I know what that map's being used for currently, and it will be continued to be. Eventually, he'll be nailed to a cross for this if he continues. Now, he doesn't know that yet.
Yeah, that's right.
Not by us. By the opponents. They're going to use him. They'll hold him up. They'll nail him to a cross and get everyone to point and stare.
Yeah,
Sorry.
that was the whole purpose of the TFE.
Yeah, I do feel sorry for them because at the end of the day, the Globers have lost. I went into the Gem Panda server earlier on about 4 hours ago, and I hadn't been there for 2 months. Destroyed them in 2 seconds. Okay, there's nothing. They've got nothing. The Earth is measured flat. So whatever you're talking about in Antarctica, like I said, it cannot be there, that 24-hour sun, where's the videos from the 1960s? It cannot be that we get to 2024 and they're giving me a 24-hour sun, and I've been looking for it since 2016. So the globe, it does not exist. Flat Earth is the key here. We know that. There is nothing they can do. They're panicking. They're desperate. Okay? Regardless of the Gleasons. The Gleason is not the thing to hang up on. Okay? Please.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm a lone rider anyway. I go where I want to go. And I am having fun mashing them up. Okay?
No, good.
So
it's a good
no
time.
one's going to get hung up with the Gleasons. No one's going to get crucified with the Gleasons.
Yeah, they are.
The thing is, the globe has been destroyed. Okay? That's the key here. There is no globe.
Yeah, for you.
We've matched them up.
Yeah, for you.
Yeah,
for the wider audience, Jin, when you say the globe's been destroyed, no. A map that's a flat Earth map, I'm phrasing it carefully, has been destroyed, therefore reaffirming the globe and hand-waving 10 years' worth of work. So why do you say, I'm not going to get caught up in the globe?
I don't see that at all.
Banjo is,
I do not
and
see that at all.
it keeps the false dichotomy alive, the one that's been peddled by TFE. Anyway, I'm going to round out. So with that, if you are watching this on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
He did not. He has never been invited.
I will send you the file right now.
And if he was invited,
that would be Mark Sargent.
If he was invited,
So
how that will
the
change
globe
the
Earth
surface?
central.
If he was in, can I say something? If he was invited, how that will change the surface of the Earth?
No, it doesn't matter. I'm currently uploading the file
Nathan
to the
Oakley
globe
was
Earth
never
central,
invited.
where he specifically said. I have him
Oakley was never
specifically say that.
Nathan Oakley was never given an invite.
Nathan is here.
He
can
wasn't
speak for
invited.
himself. Just wait, man. Nathan is here. He can speak for himself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious.
Yeah, we know.
Yeah, I'm currently uploading the file. I'm sorry, it's 2.83 megabytes. My internet is not that fast.
Sorry to interrupt. What are you guys talking about? Uploading what file?
Were you invited to go to Antarctica? I said you wasn't invited.
I wondered why you didn't go to Antarctica. You said you weren't invited, but you specifically said in one of your live streams that you were invited by Duffy, right?
No, Duffy made a video saying I was invited. He didn't actually get in touch with me and invite me or offer
And
me.
you said
I'm
you
answering
said
you.
you didn't want
I'm
to be
answering
part of
you.
a fraud.
I'm answering you.
No,
Hello? Did
you're
my
just
response
pivoting.
to your question need the extension of the same question through the top of it? I'm answering you. Shut up. No, let's be
No, you're just
absolutely...
pivoting.
Shut this
You know that
asshole
you know
evolutionist
that
true
it
up.
will
I'm telling
disprove
him
you.
his
You know
answer.
it will refute you. You were
Sorry,
scared.
what
You
are you
ran.
talking
You
about?
ran.
I have not been approached by Duffy with an invitation. That is not true. He has not communicated with me. He has not spoken to me and said, would you like to go? He didn't say to me, Nathan, here's a ticket. He didn't do any of those things. What he did do was not respond to a comment that he left on my video. And that video didn't have an invitation in his comment. I can't actually remember what it was that he commented about, but it certainly wasn't inviting me to go to Antarctica. He was telling me about TFE. But what I did in response to his comment was ask him for his hypothesis. Ever since that, and that is the only communication I've had with Duffy, he has not invited me to anything. He's not offered me a ticket. The ticket he suggested to his audience with bullshit on videos that he'd invited me, lies, wasn't really a ticket. It didn't really exist. So no, Duffy didn't invite me anywhere.
They wouldn't dare invite Nathan because it would have destroyed their plan. Okay? It would have destroyed their plan. It would have been totally
So if you look at
mashed
Globe
up.
Earth
Sorry.
Central, then you will literally hear Oakley say he was invited, but he will not go along. He will not go along because he will not be part
He
of the
was not
fraud.
invited.
So he
was not invited.
So did you not listen to what I just said? Sorry, guy, dude. Jin, I don't need any help. I'm talking to
In
this
either
guy.
case, he's contradicting himself.
Okay.
Yeah, I have to admit, he is smarter than Witsit because you realize
Can you
that
stop with the ad homs? I just want to respond to what you've said about this. Can you shut up about Witsit? I heard what you said. You said on a show, Nathan has said that I turned down a ticket. That's what you said, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Duffy didn't invite me personally. He went on a video and told the audience that he'd invited me. That's what he did. My response was in regards to him telling the wider audience that he had invited me. He has not, I'll make it clear for a second time to you, Duffy has not been in communication with me offering tickets to Antarctica. That has not happened. He simply told his wider audience that he had invited me. He had not. My response is to what? An open invitation put out to an audience and not to me personally. So to be clear, Duffy didn't invite me. He didn't contact me. He didn't have any communication with me about this. He only put it out to the audience. Is that clear?
Ah, okay. So when you said he invited me to go along, but you will not go along because you will not be part of a fraud, as can be seen in the video I've posted in Globe Earth Central, you were just not clear in the language.
What
so
was
when you meant,
put it in quotes.
Hey, he
Put it in
invited me,
quotes.
but I chose not
Put it
to
in
go.
quotes.
What you actually meant,
Hello?
no, he didn't invite me.
Can you stop?
Interesting.
Put the words I said in a quote.
Yeah, there's some sort of language
My God!
error here.
Put it in quotes. Don't tell me what... He's just going to keep fucking rambling.
Are you going to slap your daughter?
Are you going to shut up? Oh, he just wants to add on me. Are you just accusing me of child abuse, are you? Is that what you're here for? No, take him off mute, this scumbag. This scumbag wants to accuse me of child abuse. I've tried to have a discussion about him and what's actually occurred.
Video where I hear
and now he's just rambling through me. This is what Globe Earthers do when they've got nothing. When they're pathetic little scumbags that need to have me affirming an invitation that a fraud did not offer me. Because what? I've responded to a video that he's put out telling his audience that he has invited me. Is that what you're saying? Now, I've clarified the situation, and in clarifying the situation, he's rumpus me, he's using his mute button, something I get accused of. That's what Evolution is True is doing. He's using his mute button on me. I'm responding to him, the specifics that he's put to me. And in clarifying the actual circumstance of the fraud, lies that Duffy told, having not invited me anywhere, and me responding to the fraud and lies that he put out to an audience and not to me personally, having clarified it, this man called me a child abuser. That's what's actually happened. He's accused me of a crime. Now he's talking through me again. Again, I'm clarifying for the audience what's actually occurred. And this scumbag who's accused me of being an abusive, child-abusing father is now talking through me. Now, I've summarised. Duffy didn't invite me anywhere. He only put it out to his audience, and I've reacted to him not inviting me personally and telling his audience, lying to his audience about an invite that never came.
Yeah, when you said you were invited but you didn't go along, as I've sent you in the video, what you actually meant, you were never invited.
What was the quote?
So when you say,
that's where stop.
I was invited,
stop.
But on another instance,
when you say you're doing
invited,
it again,
don't you think that's
evolution
confusing?
is true? Please, can you be reasonable? Don't tell me what I've said. Use the format, quote, and then use the words I actually said. And when I've finished, that's you quoting what I've said, say end quote, so we can hear the exact words you say I said. Go.
One moment, please. I will write a little transcript, and then I will read it out. One moment.
No problem.
No, his proof is Duffy saying that. It's not actually
we know
Nathan
that.
saying those words.
Sorry,
No, but that's his proof that he
Stop.
posted.
Whoever that is, stop. It's clear I'm recording this. I have explicitly asked him to quote me and what I said. He's now said, okay, after I've asked him to quote me explicitly, because he's telling me what you said and then generalising without quote marks around it. Now he's saying, I'll go and get the words you actually used. Okay, fine. I'll respond the same as I have. If in a video I've suggested that I wouldn't be going based on an open invitation put out to an audience, it will not alter that Duffy never contacted me to offer me this and had a communication process back and forth where I said, oh, you're offering me a trip to Antarctica. No, Duffy, I won't go. We didn't have that conversation. That conversation never occurred. Duffy never spoke to me about anything beyond my request for his alternative hypothesis. And null. That's a hypothesis for his experiment. In a comment section, the comment section is, and to date, is the only communication I've ever had with Duffy.
All right, so in the 24-second video that I've posted in Globe Earth Central on this server, I made the transcript. You literally said, now he has invited me to go along. I said, I do not need to go along because you are affirming the consequent with a pseudoscience fraud, ... Like, how would you interpret this?
Sorry,
Does it sound like
no,
you're saying,
I heard the
hey,
words,
I
the
was
exact
never invited?
words. So my exact words were actually
These are the exact
sorry,
words.
so you're going to chant
Yes,
through
you
me.
can go.
Now you've quoted me. So my exact words were, wouldn't need to go now that he has invited me. So what, now that he has put it out to an audience that he's invited me? I can take that as exactly what I explained. It seems that when I explained the circumstances, now that he has would be that now that he's put it out to the audience in a video, to contextualise it now that you're asking me how I'd interpret my own words. And I point out that he's affirming the consequent, and I say that I wouldn't need to go, as opposed to I've declined an invitation. You lying piece of shit. So I didn't say I declined an invitation, you lying bastard. I said I wouldn't need to go. Oh, he's chanting, he's using his mute button. Toon, he's using his mute button on me because he's lied like a lying bastard Glober that says I've turned down an invitation when I haven't. Do you need to mute me there, Evolution? Because it seems your quote disagrees with your lie that I turned down an invitation. I didn't turn down any invitation, you lying bastard. Stop muting me, you lying bastard piece of shit. Stop muting me, you lying bastard scum globe believer. You can accuse me of crimes, you can chant through me and mute me, but you're a lying bastard scum. I didn't turn down anything in that quote. Yo, I'm going to say it 16 times for you chanting through me, you lying bastard. This is what you've got, globe scum.
Sometimes you also
muting me. You're muting me. You're muting me. You're muting me. You're muting me. Stop it. You're muting me. We heard the quote. Now you're going to ramble through me. Oh, you're just going to keep muting me. Yeah, we heard the quote.
I hear what you say.
Oh, you're going to keep muting me indefinitely. Hey, Toon, what is it? Nathan mutes? No, like you, Toon, this guy's called me a child abuser, and now when we get to the facts with quotes, he's a lying bastard. Now, me pointing out that he's a lying bastard will require this scumbag, globe-believing liar to chant through those facts. No, in your quote, I did not turn down an invitation. I said specifically I didn't need... Oh, there's him muting me again. Muting me. Evolution is true. Maybe call me a child abuser. Maybe because you've lost and been proven to be a lying glurf, you can call me a child abuser when I clarify my position that absolutely Duffy's a fraud. Duffy's a fraud. I just have to mute my line. He You can't stop muting me. He's just chanting incessantly. So I'll calmly close the line because I've now got no option. This lying glurf has decided to cause audio chaos. Why? Well, because he lied. Made out like in a quote I'd turned down an invitation, when in reality my quote makes it explicitly clear that I wouldn't need to go because he's affirming the consequent, end quote. Oh, that's not me turning down an invite. And it said, now that I'm invited. What, now that he's put out a video with a lie that I've clarified because he's a fraud? Maybe this will all need shutting down with Evolution is True's mute button. Because that's what he's done for the last 5 minutes straight. Now, meanwhile, I get accused of muting people, don't I? Is it just me, or did Evolution is True just spend, and he's still doing it now? I've opened the line, he's still talking. He's not listening to my response. My response to his lies that he told about me. Lied about me turning down an invitation. No, I said I wouldn't need to go because he's affirming the consequent. As it turns out, now we've had the actual quote of the words I did use. But this lying scumbag glurf is still chanting through me on my own show. He needs to shut me down and call me a child abuser, just like Toon, who measures Earth flat. This glurf scumbag is going to rumpus the living shit out of me indefinitely. Why? Because he's been called out on his lies. He lied about me.
No. You said, now he has invited me. Your response to that is, hey, that's affirming the consequent. Suppose that's true. Suppose that is it is a fallacy.
You stuttering lying glurf bitch! Sit down and shut up! You disgust me, you lying scumbag. Yeah? When it comes to people actually quoting what I've actually said, it turns out that the stuttering lying glurf bitch is lying about what I have and haven't done. Aren't you, you lying scumbag? But now that we can consider that what I actually said was, yeah, I'm going to have to close his line. Yeah, that's right. I'm going to have to close his line because the glurf can't help but mute every word I say. Sit down and shut up, you disingenuous, lying scumbag glurf mute button using wanker. Just going to mute every word I say. While you try and engage in conversation after your lies exposed. Well, maybe we could entertain that you actually said about affirming the consequent. Yeah, that's because what I actually said was that he'd be affirming the consequent. You just didn't say that when you lied. You piece of shit globe-believing scum. That's what you glurfs need to do. Paint me like I've turned down an invite that never came from a fraud. Call me a child abuser in the face of those facts. And eventually have the server moderators put you on mute as you incessantly shut down what I say in the face of your egregious lies. It's okay, server moderators, you don't have to put him on mute because he's incessantly muting the truth about what he's done here to me with his lies. When it comes to me getting to the bottom of what this liar did, we got a quote. And now he wants to discuss what was actually said in the quote. Oh, we could entertain about what you actually said. What about affirming the consequent? Relinquishing my need to go down there. And he's still doing it.
Not relevant.
This is you muting me, bitch.
I didn't mute you.
Yeah, you're going to talk down your mic like it's going to make any difference. You get right up on your mic, you little bitch.
You're just rambling.
No, I'm not. You're muting me. You're muting me, pointing out your lies about me, and it's infuriating. But that's really what you want, isn't it? You really want me to be shouting at you because you're a nobody. You've got no reputation to uphold, Evolution is True. You're an utter nobody. So you coming here and calling me a child abuser, accusing me of crimes, and lying about what I've turned down, when in the quote I say there's no need to go down there because he's affirming the consequent. When it gets to the truth of what's actually been said by me because you quoted me, then you want to discuss the reality of the quote. And when I point out, no, you've told an egregious lie about me being invited somewhere by Duffy. I wasn't. That's a lie. One that you had to make up shit I hadn't said and that was proven untrue when we actually got the quote. Now, me pointing any of this out to you is not being listened to for the audience's benefit by Evolution is True. He's just rambling through every freaking word I say. He's not listening. He doesn't care that he's lied. He doesn't give a shit. So long as he gets Nathan irritated, talks through the middle of me like he's doing now. Talks through the middle of me like he's doing now, so I have to shut the line so that I can get to the end of this sentence about his lies that he's told. As long as he's chanting through that, I can be accused of having to, close the line because I'm still in the middle of the same sentence? Now, you're muting me, Evolution is True. You're muting me, pointing out your lies and disgusting behaviour. You're still doing it now. This is you muting me. This is what Toon accused me of in this video. Said that Nathan mutes people, when in reality people lie about me. And when I point out that they've lied about what I've said, by getting them to go and get the quote that you would hint at having when you bullshit about what I said. Turn down an invite. No, now that he's invited me by way of a video, not a personal invitation, not contact and communication, not negotiation, he didn't talk to me at all about this. He just put it out to an audience. He's a fraud and a liar. But now that it's out to an audience, I don't need to go because he's affirming the consequent, end quote, me. Yeah, I still stand by that position. Evolution is true. He didn't need to call me a child abuser, but he did, and you chanted through me and muted me the entire time.
Once again, I think you don't understand what a mute button is. If you mute someone, you don't hear what the other person says. Now, if I respond to what you say, that's pretty good indication that I didn't mute you, right?
That's non-responsive. You didn't respond to what I said about the quote being about and affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy that relinquished my need. This is you muting me. This is you not listening. This is you directly projecting that which you've just claimed when you were non-responsive.
No,
so me pointing out that he's non-responsive and then reiterating that which he's non-responsive to and affirming that I've listened to what he said means he's going to interrupt the middle of me pointing out that the thing that he's non-responsive to needs addressing, and he's not addressing it.
Sure,
no, non-responsive. The quote, I'm still getting chanted through, I'm still getting muted, I'm still getting shut down by this arsehole. So you're non-responsive to the fact that my quote, and that's the fourth attempt of me trying to get this sentence out with this arsehole, globe liar, chanting through me and muting me. So you're not listening to me re-pointing out that when you talk about how muting works, that's not actually addressing the point you were non-responsive to with that fact, which is that affirming the consequent... There's the fifth attempt. Fifth attempt, mute button, mute button, mute button, mute button, mute button, by this zealot. Zealot muting me. Zealot nobody who's got no consequence. He can't bear to hear the actual point he's been non-responsive to get reiterated again for the sixth time. I'll try again for a sixth time. No, there's the sixth attempt before it's even started. There's the mute button. Mute button. Mute button. You're using a mute button on me now.
Okay,
Try again for a seventh time. No, mute button continues. Mute button, non-stop muting from a zealot liar. Zealot liar is going to mute me. So at this point, on the seventh attempt, I'm not going to make my point. He's not going to listen or respond. When he listened the first time, he responded with a non-responsive answer about what muting would do. I'm asking about the affirming the consequent in the actual quote, relinquishing my need to go down there, and there's his seventh interruption. Seventh time using the mute button. No, you were non-responsive to the affirming the consequent.
Let me address it.
Eighth attempt. Eighth attempt. Is it me? Is it Nathan Mute? Shut your channel, shut. Nathan Mute. No, it's 8 attempts with a non-responsive liar. This is 8. 8. He's still interrupting the audience. Right? Yeah? He's non-responsive 8 times.
Yeah, just let me respond.
No, I haven't said it unimpeded once. You've interrupted it 8 times. Let you respond to what? The interrupted question that didn't come 8 times? Can I say it once? No, I can't. This will be the 9th time.
That's what I...
You see, for the audience's benefit, this makes no difference to him. He's a nobody. So he can do this all day. Can I respond to that which I've interrupted 9 times? No, you haven't heard it. That's the point of your interruptions, and you'll keep doing it 10, 15, 20, till eventually I get sick of it and somebody in the server mutes him, and then it'll be, Nathan, mute! Shut your channel, shut your now, shut your... Yeah, that's the kind of shit we have to deal with when this guy's shutting me down, not allowing the question he's been non-responsive to come on 9 attempts later. So I'll try for a 9th time, shall I? Or will you tell me that you... There's the 9th, and he's interrupting immediately. Immediately. So you're a wanker. So I'm done with you. What I'm going to do now, Evolution is True, is I'm going to make a 10th attempt to ask you the question you're non-responsive to. If you talk before the end of this breath, I'll actually server mute you, and you won't take part anymore. We'll just slag you off for being a completely disingenuous liar, making up stuff I haven't said, and when the quote actually comes, it gets to the actual nub of the issue, which is the affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy that would relinquish my need to go down there. Down there being the affirming the consequent, antipodal assumption, when I haven't been invited because he didn't contact me, as I already clarified, before we got to the number you quote. Now I'm done. 10 attempts.
All right. So you said, before I gave you this video, you were never invited. Then I gave you a video where you literally, with your own words, say you were invited, but you didn't need to go along. Whatever your justification is, I don't care. Suppose it is affirming the consequent. The important thing here is not whether it's affirming the consequent. The essence of our disagreement is whether or not you received an invitation. Now, you make it seem to your audience like you never received an invitation, but you specifically admitted you did, which means there is some contradiction. Either you are very, very unclear with language to the point.
You don't have to
where
ad
you
hom
can
me. I
say,
heard your
never
question.
received an-
Sorry, can you stop ad homming me now? I've heard your question. I heard it put to me. You've put a contradiction to me. You don't have to start ad homming me. I heard. You're saying it seems like there's... Yeah, that's what happens when liars lie. When someone like Duffy lies about having invited me and tells his audience that I've been invited, I can take that as an invite because the rest of the world believe a liar that he's actually contacted me. Subsequent to that, I clarify, Will Duffy has never contacted me and communicated with me with an invitation for me to accept or decline, and furthermore, there was no ticket to offer. He was being, according to his own words, frauded by someone else who was scamming him with a ticket that didn't even exist. So I can give enough clarity to the situation, which is to say the understanding when lying that Duffy put out was that I had been invited. Ergo, you can take my response that now that there's a general understanding that there is an invite out there, I wouldn't need to go because it's an affirming the consequent fallacy, making it absolutely pertinent. And in no way contradictory beyond the fact that not having an invite and then having one be suggested by Duffy is the only reason there is a seeming contradiction here. Duffy's lies about an invitation I never received to an audience is why it seems like, well, you seem to be responding like there's an invite. Yeah, because Will's made out like there's an invite that he hasn't given me. I hope that's absolutely clear, you lying shit who claimed I'm a child abuser.
Yes, it is very clear to me that you received an invitation, but you tried to find a
No, I did not.
to reject.
No, I didn't. No, I didn't.
Oh, you interrupt me. I'm sorry.
No, you said it seems clear that you've received an invitation. No, Duffy didn't communicate an invitation or have any negotiation about an invite to an Antarctic region. Duffy and I didn't have that. That didn't happen. He just put it out to the audience like he had. So it's not clear that I did receive one. Duffy lied and told the audience I had when we had no communication of an invite whatsoever. So I hope it's clear now that Duffy's lie is why you had that confusion. It wasn't clear that there was an invite. Duffy never invited me. Hope that's clear now.
Oh, it's very clear. So when you said, he has invited me, but I do not need to go along because you do not want to be part of a fraud, it's affirming the consequent. What you actually meant is that you just you were.
No, you don't need to put words in my mouth. I mean what I say. Now that the general world is under the impression that there's an invite because Duffy's lied, I can respond to it by saying it's an affirming the consequent. Yeah, we're all clear now, you stuttering lying bitch who called me a child abuser.
Oh, well, again, I called you a child abuser when you talked about my reputation of being a bitch, because
Can I ask
when we're talking about
question?
reputations and bitch behavior, right?
Yeah, you lied about a quote, and when we got to the nub of the quote, it invoked a reasonable discussion about how Duffy's a liar and didn't invite me personally, didn't communicate an invite to me, didn't discuss an invite with me, and didn't get a rejection from me. None of those things happened. He put it out to the wider audience, making it seem like there was a contradiction, but you made it out like I declined an invite. Well, invites are when somebody gives you a piece of paper with invitation written on it or communicates that to you verbally. That did not happen. But when you were describing what I turned down, you lying piece of shit, you made out like I turned down an invitation. That didn't happen. I clarified it. And then you called me a child abuser when I called you a lying shit for making up stuff that I didn't say without putting quote marks around it. Clarity came when I called you for being a lying piece of shit, globe-believing scumbag, and we got the quote that I actually did say. And it fell in line with the clarity I gave about the Duffy lie about inviting me somewhere that he didn't do. He didn't communicate. I didn't talk with him about that. And the only communication I have had was also clarified. It was about the hypothesis that he didn't give me in a comment under a video. That's the only communication Duffy and I have ever had, ever. You seem to make out like I turned down an invite from him. No, when it actually gets to the nitty-gritty of the details, Duffy's just a lying shit-stained fraud, and he didn't invite anybody anything when it comes to me in Antarctica. He just told the audience that. Idiots who go on to lie to me and call me a child abuser take that lie as read like I'd turned down an invite. No, one didn't come, but I can respond to it in a general term with pointing out that there's an affirming the consequent, negating my need to go down there like I've clarified with you 4 times. You are still a lying shit stain. You did say I'd turned down an invite. I haven't. Duffy didn't invite me. I gave you clarity. I gave you clarity with you rumpusing me quite frequently, like you're doing now. I gave clarity to that, but you seem to rumpus and chant through it about 10 times while I gave that clarity. Then you called me a child abuser.
You're trying to pivot now. You're giving an...
No, you called me a child abuser and lied about what I'd said. You said you turned down an invite.
Hey, Globetrot.
Well, the child abuser claim, that's
Please.
factual, right? But other than that, you pretend now that when you said you received an invite and that you...
I didn't receive an invite, you stupid man. Duffy did not send me an invite and chat with me about it and get a decline. You keep saying that like I've received an invitation. Because in a general sense, when talking to a wider audience that is under the misapprehension that Duffy personally invited me somewhere, he didn't. But I can still respond to it, like in your quote, by saying there's no need to go down there. It would be in affirming the consequent formal logical fallacy. Because there's a misapprehension, which I brought clarity to, that Duffy invited me when he didn't. But because there's a general impression, I'm bringing clarity to that now.
I don't want you to lash out again. So,
sorry, did you just beat your child?
No, not me. Of course, I would.
So, did you just beat your child?
A child.
Sorry, did you just smack that kid in the background? Did you just smack that child in the background?
I heard that doesn't even come from.
I heard a smack and then a child screaming. Did you just smack that child?
Of course not.
Sorry, come again.
Are you pretending?
Sorry, I just heard a sound and then I heard a child cry. Are you saying you wouldn't do that? Are you saying, hold on, you don't rumpus me. We all heard what we heard. Are you saying that doesn't make you a child abuser?
Let's look at the video.
Stuttering man, lying bitch, globe believer. Did you or did not beat your child just now?
Of course not, but...
No, me neither. No, of course not. I'm definitely not a child abuser because someone heard a noise and then a child cry, like just happened with you. But yet you saw fit to call me a child abuser. It seems weird that when the standard is identical and reversed, you say, of course not. Excuse me?
I mean, it's obvious.
You stuttering bitch! You've just called me a child abuser, yet when the exact scenario is on your doorstep, you've got the gall to say, of course not. No, sir, I assume you abused that child now.
Careful. You said careful, like you're trying to console her when you realize, oops, I slapped a child.
Sorry, oops, I slapped a child. Are you having a laugh? I said careful. That means, oops, I slapped them. Are you insane?
Oops. Yeah, okay. So you didn't slap no children.
No, I didn't. You just came here and accused me of that, though. You piece of shit.
Do you see how
you're asking me a question? Now I've just accused you of being an absolute lowlife piece of shit. Notice how you're asking me something, you stuttering piece of shit.
I don't mean to interrupt you, even though I am interrupting. Can we not move this on? Because the audience don't want to keep
No, I'm tired of it. I am absolutely tired of it, Jin. No, Jin. No, Jin. No. Shut up. Jin! Jin, are you deaf?
No. Now he's angry. When he's angry...
Yeah, I am angry at you.
Especially for...
Yes, you. I am angry at you who have come here to accuse me of a crime.
So let's look at the video.
No, let's look at the fact you've just accused me of beating my children. Let's look at that. Now that the exact same accusation is on your doorstep.
Yeah, but it's obvious that you just played the video file because I didn't interact with the child. I didn't try to console it by saying careful. Like it's obviously, it's not, going from...
Sorry, you stuttering glurf bitch! You are in the exact same scenario that I've been in for the last God knows how many years. It's probably been 5 years since that was recorded, when I used to allow my kids to wander around in this space. Now, because of people like you, I don't allow that to happen. Now, why? Because people like you accuse me of a crime. Now, the exact same scenarios fell on your doorstep, and suddenly you're a stuttering glurf bitch as a result. Aren't you? And it's, oh, well, of course not. How dare you accuse me of beating my own children, you say, exasperated like it would be such an affront to you as a person. Yeah, no shit. It's exactly what you've accused me of, though, isn't it, shithead?
Sure.
Yeah, I'm angry. Yes, I am angry at you. Rightfully so.
Yeah, just let me go through it, right? If you...
Yeah, let you go. I'll kick you out. You can piss off and never return. Whoever is in the server, ban Evolution is Truth permanently from this server.
Why? Wait till you get to his science acumen. You're really going to be shocked.
Ban him permanently. If you're a moderator in the server, I never want to hear that man's voice again.
Yeah, I'll deal with it.
Yeah, he's a piece of crap.
Why should I have to have these discussions, right? I've put it off. My wife said, do it. Just talk about it. For the last 5 years, I've gone, if I talk about this, it will be taken some way, won't it? So you just go, right, I'll button my lip, I'll just keep stum. That's the best thing you can do in these scenarios. 5 years down the line, when people keep repeating this accusation, I'm tired of it.
Yeah, because Duffy, he reignited it by putting out some nonsense video.
Duffy said he saw a video of me beating my kid. Lying bastard piece of shit. That's what you've got. They haven't got any actual evidence. They know damn well they're going to make it down there and not actually prove anything. They know they've got to affirm the consequent. End quote me. That's the real issue here. So what does it need to turn into? It needs to turn into 20 minutes talking about people's kids, doesn't it? That's what they've really got. That's what Duffy used before he went down there. Why? Well, because he thinks it's an attack. He thinks he's got some leverage with this shit, doesn't he? No, Duffy. You've got the exact same affirming the consequent fallacy, end quote me, when you pretend that you've invited me down there with a ticket that never existed.
Just makes him look weak. Oh my goodness.
Anyway, logic prevailed in the end. Hip hip hooray. Evolution has been ejected. Good. Should have happened moments ago, you know, like minutes ago.
Yes, I just agree with you now, Jin.
Horrible
yes.
ordeal.
In the last 5 years since this has been occurring, typically speaking, it would have been moved on for quickly and we'd have got to some flat earth point. Now I'm tired of it and I'm going to use people like him. I did it the other day as well. I can't remember the circumstances. I'll try and block this shit from my mind.
In politics.
I can't remember. You'll have to remind me. But a similar circumstance arose and I'm like, no, right, Paula? Same thing's happened again. Because of Will Duffy claiming he's watched a video of me beating my kids, there's people coming left, right, and centre to say you're a child abuser. So after speaking to you and going, is it okay to say this? You've gone, no, express your frustration. Fine. So I am. So someone else has come along, and by pure chance, same thing happens. They've got their kids screaming in the background. So I'm going, well, are you abusing your kid? Heaven forbid, he says. I'm like, well, that's what you've just come in to accuse me of. Bloody hellfire. It does say more about them.
Yeah, I was in chat with him the other day. And I asked
you gotta
him.
love the irony of that. That literally that happens. You gotta love the irony of it.
I was asking him specifically about science in chat, in Discord, and he brought up the child thing. So I asked him, just give me the first step in the scientific method. And he said to me, which one? Which scientific method am I talking about? This guy thinks he's an intellectual.
They know deep down that they're defeated already. They wouldn't lean on ad homs if they thought they had a winning argument. You wouldn't need to.
Yeah, exactly, man.
And a little disciplining of your child is not a crime. Discipline is necessary in order to have a nice, coherent
but that's not what
lifestyle.
happened.
I agree.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
I'm criticised within my own family, both my wife and I, of being extremely disciplinarian. That is to say, compared to my other siblings and their kids, they are far more disciplined. But I don't beat my children. I don't hit them. I don't strike them ever. Neither does my wife. Now, they occasionally hit each other and they get told off. But we don't set that example for them. I don't agree with that. So while some people might discipline their children by hitting them, I don't. So it's upsetting when people accuse me of doing it. It's very frustrating. It's been frustrating for 5 years, knowing full well that being annoyed and upset by people claiming this, chances are I'll make it worse if I discuss it. So typically I've kept my mouth shut.
So what am I then? Because in 1988, when my daughter ran across the street and almost got hit by a car, I smacked her on her ass so hard she never did it again. So what am I?
I don't know. Well, that's not to cry anybody who uses that methodology. I can achieve the same effect. So yesterday, the same thing. Kids are slipping and sliding around whilst having a shower, and the youngest one, because it's all the shower's been turned off, it's all soapy, and I'm like, just get out now, please, because I can see that she's going to slip around, and instead she starts kicking the toys around and ends up on her ass, and I shouted at her, "Just get out!" And she's in tears, she's running to her mom, and she's scared because I've raised my voice to her. Didn't need to smack her.
Yeah, my daughter needs to be smacked.
Well, fair enough.
Yeah.
Whatever.
She got it
I
right on her
don't.
ass, and
That's the
she
point.
never
I
did it
don't.
again, though, Nathan.
Either way, I don't. So when you're accused of it and you don't, it's one of the values that you don't adhere to. You think that's really, really egregious. Not only that, it's a crime. They're accusing me of being a child abuser. And it's very upsetting. I love both my kids extremely dearly. So does my wife. And I don't want to be thought of in that way. Now, like I say, over the last 5 years, the chances are me getting upset about it whilst recording as I am now, I can only make things worse.
Well, if anybody with a half a brain has seen you interact with your children, they could see that that's baloney right off the top. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and definitely that was just the wrong language to hear. You know, child abuser on a flat earth server. What a joke that is. Come on.
Well, Brian's been saying it
Wow.
for years. All they've ever had was character assassination. That's it. Even in Robotham's day, assassinate his character.
Just shows you
Yeah,
exactly
you're
where
right.
the
You're
growth
right.
is.
You're right. I agree with that.
It shows you where the Grovers stand at this point. I mean,
You would
this
think-
is what they got.
You'd think it'd
Look
be
how
the last
pathetic it
thing
is.
they'd need to resort to when they've got a 24-hour sun, right? I mean, you've got a 24-hour sun. Yeah, that's how
what I'm
weak it is.
saying. That's what I wanted to ask him. Like, bro, is this your first time here? So you've come to FED for the first time, and this is what you got? No glow proof, no debunk flatter. This, whether you were invited to Antarctica or not, like this is what you got. This is pathetic and sad, Globers. Maybe one of you guys could step up and do a little bit better. Maybe one day.
I mean, he's right in a way. I'll have to be even more careful with my words. Yeah? Because there's an invitation out there, I'm responding to the invitation that's out there and then detailing how I wouldn't need to go in that quote. Fine. Once we actually got to the quote. But even that wasn't carefully phrased enough, was it? Well, in spite of the fact I haven't received a personal invite and Duffy's out there claiming, it's like, why should I have to put this disclaimer? Oh, because 6 months later someone will come along and say, oh, you did get an invite because you said you were turning it down. No, Duffy lied.
No, Nathan, it was
Nathan, they're still
explained well
talking
enough.
about the perfect glow proof. Are you kidding me?
It was explained well enough. They had to resort to do what they always resort to do, which is twist words said by flat earthers to try to make themselves sound right. That's all they have.
I thought words don't have meanings, though.
Yeah, might have to go check.
Did you
about
not
that.
Did you not notice? Did anyone notice how none of them seemed to talk about the beauty of being in such an environment? No one mentioned the majestic beauty of the ice and the actual environment. I never heard anyone say anything good about it. Do you understand?
Well, they had samples.
No, they had
They did. They had script for that, actually, Jin. So all three of them, Lisbeth, Whitsitt and Jaron, within 3 hours of being on the ice, conceded their position has failed, conceded the flat Earth has failed, and said the same scripted sections about how beautiful it was as they flew in, how they wouldn't be responding to comments, and how there was a creator. It was like they were all reading off the same script.
Well, that's quite interesting because I didn't hear that, so I didn't realise that they actually did say something.
Yeah, we were responding to it as it was happening on the day. So I went live on the Sunday and responded as and when it was happening. So we were like, what? They've only been down there 3 hours? What do you mean they're conceding? And then you hear the next one come along and concede and say, I'm not going to be reading any of the comments, and there's definitely a crater, and it was really beautiful on the way in.
I tell you what, that was the smartest thing you ever did was go live that day. Boy, did we get some nuggets.
Yeah. I mean, I started with them leveling their tools to suggest there's a differential in gravitational attraction when weighing masses that are designed to calibrate the tool in the first place. I mean, that's what they were doing. And I'm like, you'll need a flat Earth that. You're leveling the tool. I tried to get this in the beginning, right? I spent some Christmas money, I did, on an acoustic panel. Very excited. It was half price. Box UK.
Oh, God, we're not going to talk about sound, are we? But I'll tell you what, listening to some of your old shows, boy, you sound great now.
Yeah, well, there's a bit of a mid-range reflection off the back of these tuned bass traps. So they absorb by literally resonating at the frequency they're trying to absorb. But that means that they've got a hard panel that resonates. Well, that means that anything that's not that frequency will just bounce straight off it like it's a flat wall. So I've bought a cloud, which should go in the ceiling. It doesn't actually matter where it goes, but it's obviously no one wants to buy this expensive ceiling cloud, so they've knocked it down by half price. So I bought that to go in front of these two tuned diaphragm absorbers behind me.
What you have for dinner last night?
I think I had a 60 hertz bass tone.
Did you hear evolution is true? I wanted him to get into science. That would have been great. But I guess kicking him is even better.
Like I say, I got permission from my wife to talk about this. So in previous years when we've discussed it, she's gone, look, just don't talk about it. Move on quickly. You'll only end up doing yourself a disservice. People will use your words against you, blah, 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 blah. And then in like the most recent time that somebody's brought it up, which was Duffy, my wife's gone, nah, just talk about it. It's frustrating you. Don't let it build up and frustrate you. Talk about it. So when the opportunity has arose the last two times, she's by chance both times walked into the room and heard what's going on. And I'm going, is this making me look bad? And I've asked her, because I value my wife's opinion. She's gone, no, you carry on. She did it now. She's like, no, absolutely. You're justified in moaning about this. It's her words, that words this time were, it looks worse on them. That's what she said. Yeah, I already decided I was going to get that guy permabanned. The moment he lost his argument, he uses that. You're like, oh, this guy's getting permabanned. But if I'm going to use this opportunity, I might as well do it. That's why I was shouting at Jin, shut up, Jin! Just want to, like, oh, shouldn't we be on normal flat Earth service? Shouldn't that be resuming? You're like, well, yes. But I actually, in this instance, not to type, actually do want to use this opportunity. So sorry, Jin, to shout at you to shut up. I did actually want to use that opportunity before permabanning.
Yeah, no, I apologise as well. I was just trying to get it and move on, and I wanted you to just eject him immediately, get him gone.
Yeah, any other day I'd agreed with you.
I mean,
literally any other day of the last 10 years I'd agreed with you and been grateful. So sorry. Hello, Adam. Hello, QE.
I enjoyed that, and I agree. There's not a more pertinent time, particularly with all off in the UK, to stand against that kind of filth that's been put at you for these years. Now is the time to stand when it's pertinent in people's mind at how depraved that accusation is, how scumbaggery it is, how low the ballers are prepared to sink to indict you, not your argument, but to indict you. So yeah, it is a good time to challenge it. And thank God that somebody just came on and did the same thing and provided the same quality of evidence that we could, by their standards, accuse him of being a child beater. Yeah, perfect. Thank you, Lord.
Yeah. It's not relevant, and Jin is actually.
And let's not forget.
Jin's right.
Sorry, I
No,
didn't
I'm
know
agreeing
you
with you. I'm
were
saying
talking.
overall, overarching, Adam, and my point, you're correct. We should just this is a non-issue. It's a nothing burger.
Yeah. I was going to say that, and let's not forget to ram down their throats the Flathearts flat line, because that has been a nice Christmas stocking filler for me, and I'm using it all the time. You know what I mean? Thank you, QE. That was a great, and everybody that was involved in that, including yourself and Brian and the rest of the gang there. Thanks a lot. I'm using that still using it. I haven't started using it properly yet. This year is going to be a good one.
It is. Just out of interest, Adam, you said in light of what's happened in the UK, what did you mean by that? I didn't actually get that reference. What did you mean?
Okay, so what's happening now is for the past 20 years in the UK, this abuse of children has been covered up and normalised and downplayed in very filthy ways. So for this topic, there's nothing. Elon Musk right now is currently attacking the British government for Savile and all the likes of what is real paedophilia, what is a real abuse of young children in the UK. 250,000 is the conservative guess over the past year of what our government is covering up. And that's why I say it's pertinent right now, because the topic in of itself is very emotive in the mainstream media right now. And it puts a light on how disgusting their standards are, that they would throw that at you, unproven. Probably the worst, yeah? It's worse than any form of any other abuse to do it to a child. And that's what they're accusing you of. And that's why it wasn't worthy of response previously. And the only reason I say now, and I agree with Paula, is because it's pertinent and because people actually need to think about that accusation that they quite happily throw at you, like the pastor quite happily threw, like it was nothing, like it's not the most abhorrent crime in the world. Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. And the standards that they have used to put that at you are disgusting.
And
it's great to have it laid out.
Okay, I did not know that. So my wife tends to be a lot more up to date with the general rhetoric of the mainstream media, which I am definitely not. So that's potentially why she's going, no, fine, this is what you need to do. Because of that, which I was completely unaware of. I was thinking it was a home ed thing.
It's the fall of the British government, mate.
Okay. No, because something that I was aware of was there was a child that died in a home ed circumstance. And in the UK currently, there's sort of a divide with home educated children. On the one side of the divide, you've got what are described by people we are not associated with, but know, that call it being off the radar, which is to say they're not in any way, shape or form registered with the government or any affiliated help or benefits or anything. So they're just detached from any association with those entities. And then there's the other side of the home ed divide, which is us, where as much as it's a pain in the arse, we do actually communicate quite a lot with our local government and we let them know what we're doing. We submit reports to them about our kids are being educated. And as a result, and we knew this when we did this, we are heavily scrutinised by them. Yeah. So that's our circumstance. But knowing that recently, in the last couple of months, there was a child that was killed in care of somebody home educating them, parent. The home ed systems come under higher degrees of scrutiny. But in terms of us, it actually hasn't really affected us because we'd made a decision, look, if we're potentially going to be looked into, I'm glad we did this preemptively, because this is, when people make these accusations, sometimes they might turn into reports, but they never turn into anything. That is to say that we're already heavily scrutinised anyway. Do you know what I mean? It's not like we're trying to keep our kids away from our local authority or, You know, we have to report back to them, and they're in touch with us. So, to some people's mind, they think that they might actually have a legal thing happen to it. No, you idiots. We're not those people trying to keep our kids off the radar, because so we can actually. They've got this impression that we're like the thing that they say we are. When they say I'm abusing my kids, they want me to be that person, don't they? But no, I'm not. Anyway, so that's what I assumed when you said that's what's going on in the media at the moment, but it's not. It's more like Musk accusing the government of covering up Savile. Well, if you want to look at the BBC, would you agree that the BBC are giving off the impression of not being under government control because they're independent, but still they can easily and always are heavily influenced by the British government? That's sort of known. That's under the surface, just a tiny degree, right? But that's the BBC, wouldn't you agree? And the royals to an extent, with Savile, I mean.
Savile's a part of it. I don't want to get too deep. It's the point that this historic stuff has been called out, and now there's people in power that have been calling it out, and the second they get into power, they've ran off, okay? And our Prime Minister was head of public prosecutions 12 years ago when Savile was in charge. But Savile's one thing. What's worse is the indictment that sits right now, that for the sake of cultural diversity, we couldn't accuse Muslim Pakistani men of this gross abuse of children throughout all British communities. And it's this cover-up which is going to be the downfall, because the people that have covered it up are now in power. And it turns out not only are they the people in power to deal with it now, but they were the people that hand-wave dismissed it, earlier. This is what Musk is pointing out. This is why it's pertinent, because shit's coming home to roost. Thank goodness. Thank goodness, There's a level of hope out there, Nathan, with regards to this. I say, historically, I've been in court with some of these cases in the kids' home supporting stuff and gave testimony and supported witnesses. This is historic over 20, 30 years since I was a kid, and it's now finally coming out. But it's coming out in such a beautiful way, that those that are there in power now happen to be the ones that gave the permissions to these people and let them off in the past. It's getting very dirty, but like I say, pertinent to you dealing with it. Like I said, the absolute disgusting level of things that will be put at us. Attack the man, not the argument. Now, there's a level of attacking the man, but it's always been disgusting the way they've attacked you personally. Never done it to me, but they've done it to you. And the good pastor has done it, and now this guy's done it. Yeah, well, just recognise what you're actually accusing people of, you pieces of filth. And I think now
Don't forget the guy on politics. He also. So it's been 3 in the last week.
Well, they'll all be off the back of Duffy.
Yes.
But that's the point. That's the standard of the man, isn't it? That's why I use the term Pastor Will Duffy. It's the standard of the man. What kind of Christian would do that? Throw an accusation of the most heinous stuff and make a false claim that he'd watched a video of it, the snuff perv, But to make those false and to lie like that about such an egregious thing, you say it's a measure of the man. What testimony could he ever give you that's worthy of anything? He's told you that he's watched a video of Nathan abusing his children. That's his testimony, He's lied to the court. What's his word worth?
A video? What are you talking about? Are you serious?
That's not that's not the standard, Adam. That's the crime. If you accuse somebody for that kind of thing, especially in UK, that's a crime. You cannot accuse like whatever you want. Oh, this guy is making the violence in his family. You need to have evidence for that. And if you do that, you are somehow, you are making crime if you are wrong.
It's not crime, it's defamation, it's civil. But I see your point.
Nathan, but if you take let's say that you know that person and that you want that now you want that have a court process where this guy was claiming something against you, could be your neighbor. To understand?
I get that, Sasha. Just so you know, just so you're aware, I have once or twice. Was the second one defamation? At least once I have sued in court for defamation of my character. So I have filed a claim for defamation and sued for defamation previously, Sasha. Just so you know. So I'm well aware of what defamation laws are here.
I'm not saying do that. I'm saying that could be also the crime for the person. If person thinks what wants to accuse anybody, you know. I cannot say, "Oh, you robbed the bank," you know.
I get it, but you're saying it's a crime. It's not. It's civil. I'll just say it once more. It's not a crime. It's defamation of character.
It's not to take place in criminal court. It's a civil case. We don't understand that.
But that's you, maybe, Nathan. Let's see what will happen if you do that with, let's say, some political guy, some guy. Let's say a prime minister. You accuse him about that. What will happen with you?
Last time I discussed this was with Anthony Riley, and he gave it a title. Now, I didn't know it had this title when I sued somebody for defamation of character, but nevertheless, that's besides the point. Anthony said it's called the rich man's tort. Did you know that?
Oh, yeah.
Same thing that Johnny Depp sued Amber Heard for defamation of character. And The Sun in the UK.
Wait, what's it called? The rich man's what? I missed that.
Tort. Anyway. Fun.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Actually not. I hate court. I hate being in them. I hate preparing for them. You've got to be a certain type of mentality. Or driven with a certain mentality to utilise them. Anthony's of a different breed. Ball-washing bastard.
Yeah, he won't come back on FED.
Yeah,
I've
so
been trying to get him back.
If Sasha's there...
Yeah?
Sorry, yeah, Sasha, it's called a slanderous act. So what they did to Nathan is that was slander, a slanderous act, and then, of course, it's defamation of character, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, if it's spoken, it's slander.
And if he's Italian,
do you know what is interesting? He found that part of video, let's say, but he didn't. But he wanted to speak about that part, about the child and blah blah blah. But he never saw that 2,000 shows, and where you speaking about some things like what is the part of your show? That means the surface, all that stuff, flat earth and that things. He didn't find in million hours of argument anything what could support or be against the globe or support the globe in this show. Now he find the child and that what you didn't, that invitation will never get. Yeah, that was the 2 points to say in the show: invitation and child.
Well, same goes for a Toon, right? In what, several thousand shows, what did Toon found? A comment on a video I'd commented on 8 years ago. What? Okay, scrape that barrel.
And what if you get invitation, Nathan? I can't be sure that you will say, I don't know. That's my now opinion. I don't need to go there. People, are you crazy? What you said.
That is a good point, Nathan.
I didn't quite understand.
It's incredible. It's incredible that we get.
Where the guns? That was the one you're referring to, I think, isn't it?
It's incredible that we finally get a Glober in here after all this time, and instead of shouting from the rooftops that we've got a 24-hour sun and we've proven the globe, Flurf, right? Because that's what we should be hearing every day, all day. I don't understand why we're not hearing that. What are we getting? Where is the guns and child abuse? That's what we got.
That's what they've got. That's what we've got. That's what they've got.
Well, that's what we've gotten from them. That's what I mean.
But the guy said on 24/7,
that's
we
insanity.
destroy every flat earth model with that observation, they said. Every flat earth. And he said, we don't have a model. It doesn't matter.
Okay, the evolution is true, guy. This is his words. Time as an independent variable is essential. That's what you're talking to.
That's
All right?
useful. Well, so
Do you think the change of things we call time is a concept or something that actually happens, Neil?
Yes, concept, yes. So that's what you have to define. So that's back to QE's education on what is an independent variable, right? It has to fulfill three criteria. Number one, it's your presumed cause in the hypothesis. Number two, it must be capable of variation and manipulation by you, the researcher. That's when you vary it in the experiment, right? And number three, it must be real.
Okay, so I was right then, because that's what I said to him. I said, it's got to be something physical, something that you could manipulate.
You saying you can't manipulate time, Neil?
Well, I mean, things do happen. I could put a chicken in the oven and then it's cooked 3 hours later.
Manipulate it so it takes one. Manipulate time, Neil. Conceptual.
I could reset my clock radio.
It's a concept. Time's a concept. Sorry, Chocolate, good.
So resetting my clock radio won't count as an independent variable manipulation?
Is it attached to a Mr. Fusion and a DeLorean?
Yes.
Well, then yes, that's definitely time manipulation, Chocolate.
Did you turn on the oven when you put the time?
I was told Dave McKeegan's got two independent variables in the form of location and time.
I'm getting to that. He also says that there's more than one independent variable. Same thing. It's essential that we go back to basics.
It's like there's more than one Lone Ranger, Neil.
Did anybody ask him to define the word independent? Maybe? Vocabulary much?
Well, like independent on its own, alone. I think that means there's two of them.
Yeah, it definitely sounds like two.
Wow, this guy was lost. Well, look at his name. Evolution is true. What does that tell you?
I think the problem is because we are debating in English.
Neil, it tells you that evolution is true. Because that's his name, so therefore must be true.
I asked him about that. He said, do you want me to tell you the sort of high school level step-by-step method as it's commonly presented, or the scientific method as it is utilized in academia? So we have a few different scientific methods.
It's back to that. When you're in the know, you know, and you can make fun of it. That's Darth was so useful for that, because we're speaking with frustration when we talk to people back in the day about the scientific methods, and we get all annoyed. And then Darth takes the piss out of it when he flips the script and makes the Globe Earth Dictate talk to Flatties, and the Globe Earth Dictate host is like, "You've been learning the scientific method," says the guy, and the host is like, "Methods."
That's right. I forgot. So he goes on to say, so typically in low-level science, we say observation is the first step of the scientific method. In some textbook, I have seen the first step being asking a question.
No, that's on Science Buddies. That's Science Buddies. That's the first result on Google when you do a Google search. What is science? Science Buddies comes up to top result. So when he says he's read a book, no, you did a Google search, you lying shit, and you took the first result. Science Buddies says ask what? That's what they say. Do it now. Check it out. Do the Google search, and the first thing that will come up is Science Buddies, and their first step of the scientific method is ask a question.
Yeah. He says in real science, you are not bound to rigid step-by-step tutorial like that. So you're not bound by a method. Yeah. So you can do whatever you want.
Yeah. So high-level science, you just do as you please. That's awesome.
Your first step, for example, is to replicate someone's experiment in peer review. So you skip everything other than experiment and the results.
Is this teach?
Ask question about what?
The first step, the experiment.
I'll just read out what QE's posted from. Is it teach health? There can only be one independent variable and one dependent variable in an experiment. Everything else that can impact the experiment must be kept constant or controlled. These are known as controls. University of Texas.
The real science.
There can only be one. That's pretty ambiguous, QE. Have you got a better one?
He said it's possible to skip everything entirely and only look at the results section to do meta-analysis, to use statistical tools to find out outliers that could hint a bad method, so we weed it out.
That's like apologizing for your own possible self-indictment. It's like saying, we could have used cars with rust, but we buy the used cars and sell them to avoid the rusty used cars. That's how we've got our guarantee.
Back to basics. I can't wait.
You mean back to the drawing board?
No, that's a German terminology.
I know.
Back to the drawing board. Hey, listen, if you guys in chat can figure it out, let me know. That's what he said day one, 2 hours in.
Mush took umbrage with that statement. He's like, what drawing board? Who's been drawing? What, you been drawing on that drawing board? This is an outrage. What do you mean we're going to go back to it? Were you at it originally? Where is this drawing board?
Well, I think his concern was that Apocryphon, being here so long, actually had that on his drawing board, the AE map.
Someone needs to make this into a comic. Yeah, he's got like an easel with a like A-frame easel that's so high, and he flips the page on his easel, and like you say, it's just got a big azimuthal equidistant globe projection. Cartoon stickman staring at it, holding his chin.
What was QE cooked and given? I was just about to say that's perfect. It deals with the issue. That's why I burst out laughing when he says he's got two, just to double up how good his experiment is. He's got two independent variables.
If one's good, two's got to be better.
That's what I mean. That's kind of the way it was put out by the numpty. There can only be one independent variable and one dependent variable in an experiment. Everything else that can impact the experiment must be kept constant or controlled. These are known as controls. That's why that guy's an idiot. If he doesn't recognize that and thinks that he can uber validate his experiment by saying, well, my experiment's got two independent variables compared to your one, so it must be better, shows his ignorance.
So stupid as well, isn't it? It's like, this stamp's really rare. How rare? It's the only one in existence. Really? What if we had two?
Twice as rare.
It'd be less rare. Nah, we'd have twice as many.
Well, according to him, you could skip everything and just go to peer review.
Yeah, just ignore all of it. Just ignore the whole method. Just assess the results. How much soil does it take to make water boil? Well, let's go straight to the results and assess them mathematically, immediately.
No, how much soil and salt does it take to get water to boil?
My bad. One independent variable's good. Variation of soil to see if water boils. No need for experimentation. We're going straight to the results here. But two independent variables is even better. How much salt and soil will make that water boil? Let's maths it out now. We've no need for the experiment and already look at the results that we haven't acquired yet with our independent variables. It's like on what's the Adam Sandler movie where they're trying to become a pop sensation, so they break into a radio station and get them to play their tape, but everything goes wrong and they can't play a tape. They've got no tape player, and so on and so forth. Well, the name of the band, when they finally get to play the tape that's been pissed on and run over about 50 times by the ex-girlfriend. They finally get the tape, and on the tape it says, well, what are you called for me to announce you on the radio? And they're like, the Lone Rangers. And the guy's like, you can't pluralize Lone Rangers. It's one. And they're like, just announce it. And he's like, fine. And now from the Lone Rangers.
That's funny.
Airheads, right?
Airheads, that's it. That's what I hear when people say independent variables. I just hear, and now the Lone Rangers.
Oh, wait a second. I just found this. In the conversation, he said, I think he was talking to Matthias. He said, the scientific method is singular, yes. The scientific methods is plural.
Wow.
Wow.
Thanks for the English lesson. So very useful.
Wow.
There is not one scientific method, as we can go into history of science if you want to. Really.
Oh,
Well, think about it. You have to think this way if you think evolution is true. Right? You can't be stuck to a rigid form.
What's that?
That's the guy's name. Evolution is true. I've been reading all his science quotes.
What's that?
But why did he come in with that though? Like, why did he come in with all that science
Okay,
shit? Why did you come in with, oh, you received an invite and you said something about the invite that you received that you didn't receive, and like,
Because he's a liar. He's a liar too, because in the beginning of this conversation, which took place a few days ago, he said, I'm sorry, I'm new here. Oh, so he's a liar. He's not new here.
Well, it's a tip for the audience, isn't it? So when you hear somebody say about you or anybody else, this person says blah, 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 blah. And they wouldn't say that if blah, 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 blah. If they don't put quote before and after what they say the person says, call them out immediately. Doesn't matter if it's you that they're claiming to quote or someone else. Why does Jaron say blah, 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 blah? Because only a shill would say that. You're like, what did he actually say? Give me the quote that he actually said. And put it in quote marks. That's quote, I think Earth's a ball, end quote, Jaron. You know what I mean? You want it verbatim. Otherwise, they'll just misrepresent you and lie, like that guy did, because that's what he did. Why did you turn down an invite from Will Duffy? I didn't turn down an invite from Will Duffy. Well, hold on, I've got a video where you said that you wouldn't want to go and that you're turning down an invite. Well, he's told the greater audience that he's invited me when he hasn't. Well, it seems in this video that it's like, no, I've brought clarity to this. You're a child abuser. What? What the hell?
Yeah, Jaron's quote is even worse than that. His quote is, the Earth is measured flat, level, and stationary, but the sky can only be explained by living on a sphere. End quote.
Oh my gosh.
What about rocks cause waterfalls?
Yeah, that's got to be the best one.
Well, you can't say heat causes water to boil.
You don't know all the parameters, man.
That was happening in chat today about the heat causing water to boil. Heat and pressure.
I had to think, QE, on the Ballbusters, you were pointing out that that Jaron didn't justify his claim of me being a scammer while he's rattling off everybody indicting them. Well, it occurred to me that, well, what did he accuse me of when suggesting I'm a scammer last time? Well, it was that science doesn't prove things. Whereas this time, he had to quickly modify his rhetoric, didn't he? Because if, whilst trying to pull the entire Flat Earth community down by saying they've gone down to do an experiment, he says Nathan's a scammer because he says science proves things. Oh, shit. So he had some nonsense drivel that was totally, devoid of any substance at all, rather than Nathan's a scammer because he says science proves things. At least it had an objective behind it. Wrong, obviously, but there was some objective purpose behind it, whereas he had to kind of carry on that rhetoric without a justification this time.
It's just a spiritual attack.
Dave Weiss, man, why did he say that? Again, did we actually get a quote out of Jaren? Jaren's a liar. He's a lying shit stain on this community now, and we all know it. We've been trying to say it about Whitsit and Jaren and a few others for a while. But while he's saying that about Dave Weiss, as much as we're condemning Dave for different reasons, did he actually put it in a quote? If I went to Dave and said, why did you say blah, 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 without giving Dave a quote, would he just call me out and go, I didn't say that. Give me a quote, Nathan. And I go, well, Jaren said that you said that blah, blah, blah. Well, Jaren's a liar, says Dave Weiss. I thought you already knew that. And so it goes on. So I don't know that Jaren's correct when he levels these accusations at Dave Weiss. He's trying to take everybody down.
I think the crash out is spectacular.
It's a crash out.
Crash out, fallout, whatever you want to call
fallout.
whatever
Yeah, I know
all
what
of
you mean.
this nonsense is. Yeah, I think it's like I've got a big old bag of popcorn for this. This is fantastic.
Yeah, it's like it's the fire, and we're sitting around it going, "You got a stick? I got some marshmallows."
Yep.
No, it's
Some
better than that.
s'mores.
We were telling him before, you're going to start a fire if you do that. Now that the fire started, we'll toast some marshmallows.
Yeah, exactly. Now you're getting it. These analogies are getting better. I just call it a dust storm. Now it's a fire. Awesome.
Adam has another word for it.
It's a cozy fire too.
Nope. Where'd Adam go?
Yeah, I think you said that. I'm racking my brain. Go on.
Prego, ravioli.
Oh, did you see that ravioli, Nathan? Oof.
Boy. I think he stole it from me. It's called the purging.
Oh, but
Wait a
Well, it
second.
is.
I've been saying that.
The ungluing.
The ungluing. That's what it is.
I like purge. It is a purge.
I look at it and we just commented on the thing we've been attacked on. It's kind of the most pathetic pretend argument. Well, he's not calling me. Well, he don't call me. But if I call Witsy, he'll answer me. There's three have fallen out, actually. Yeah, that's how I read that. I don't believe a word of them are saying. When they pretend with this half-assed argument that they've fallen out, yet still support each other and big up the green screens and make excuses, but they're wrong, and they call me. All of them smell. None of them smell genuine. Now, it's not for me to give some grandiose description of what the scam is. When I smell bullshit, I can smell it shit. I can't describe which animal necessarily has laid it and what they ate beforehand to formulate that shit, but I know it's shit. Yeah? That's kind of where I'm at with all of these guys. Yeah? Which is why it's nice. It's all coming out and watching them eat themselves, and the ultimacy is the purge. And the purge isn't the humiliation of any individual. It's the removal of the bullshit that we've had to tolerate and the nonsense supporting evidence that these guys will get behind. It's all of the Etherites eating themselves and realizing if they're going to stand behind something, they better make sure it's validatable and actually supports their argument. Ether doesn't. The stuff we've been giving to people for the past few years does. And that's what the purge will do when they come out of it and they're left with the only things that will support the position, which he basically summarized in Nathan's book. Yeah? But it won't have ether in it. It won't have a 24-hour sun in it. But you'll be able to move on forwards knowing that the earth is flat, and you'll be able to say to people why. And you won't have to apologize for it because they won't have a rebuttal.
Exactly, Adam.
Prove to them.
How do you think Vaxwax or Vaxy Waxy was able to hold Jaron to task that day. Where did you think he learned all of that from? I mean, come on.
24/7 politics Discord server.
No, that's not true. But that's not why I was bringing it up. I mean, this is what's said here. This is the work you were talking about, Adam. The real work has been done right here. Ballbusters, flat earth debate. Then it spreads out. And those that are smart and realize, they'll grab onto it.
It shows you what it takes to get a piece of rhetoric repeated throughout the community. So 12 solid months of toddling along to politics, telling them, look, lead with Earth's measured flat. And then TFE is like the valve. It's like an anus. And ether is the dirty douche water that needs purging. And it's happened.
But I am glad that you picked up on that, Nathan. I'm starting to have hope for you.
What about the dirty etherite douche water?
No, as soon as I mentioned the whole thing with Jerry, you said 24/7 flat earth Discord. Where else? Come on.
If it wasn't for places like that, repeat. So I'm not being big-headed here or disrespectful to it. We've made the information, but it's places like that that take it, recognize it, and repeat it. Yeah, not repeat it and give his credit because we don't ask for that, but repeat it in a different format over there, getting to different people. Yeah, we've not engaged particularly with facts. Yeah, you can see where it's come from. I'm not being big-headed. It's come from us. Every word, yeah, has come from us. Every destruction that you smacked Jaron with and made Jaron stutter with came from us. Yet there's places like these Discord places that are disseminating this message and getting it out there. Yeah, there's lots of good people, but this is where we have to be a bit big-headed, though. It's our message. Remember that. Yeah. But there's no debate out there doing this. It's us, FED.
Yeah, that's my point. And you hear it when you hear Flat Earth Jedi tear somebody to pieces on politics the other day. You would think it was Nathan speaking.
It's rhetoric as opposed to what we need credit for. Now, I think what Adam's trying to say was something I discussed with Brian, which is that we need to take more ownership when the dust settles and say, no, in an authoritarian way, you need to know this, and I'm taking charge and making sure you do. It's in your interest. It's to your benefit. I'm the one who's going to be telling it you now. Sit down and listen. That's the attitude that we're going to have to take once the dust settles. In the meantime, it's like if you can appeal for all the credit you like. It's one of the things I admired about QE in terms of the way he put the information out. Yeah, it's only certain scenarios, like when it's somebody who's being disrespectful or putting out crappy rhetoric like Witsit, when he'll be like, you can't use my argument, don't. But other than that, it's like, no, this is an argument I want out there, as opposed to I want QE's argument to be recognised for how good I am. Even though it is the same argument, it's just as good, and actually in most instances more worthy of giving him credit. It's like, no, it's a good argument that needs to go out and be put out into the masses so that they use it and win, not necessarily so that you get promotion out of it. Like I said, when my desire to get Jaron on board with some of these arguments wasn't so that he would promote us; it was so that argument reached his wider audience.
Agreed. QE should have said, if you're going to be talking about ether, do not use any of the arguments we use here.
Well, you can't do that, though, can you? You can't. Same with ghosts. Well, if you're going to talk about ghosts, don't be talking about how Earth's measured flat. It's like, if there are people associating ghosts with flat Earth, then we'll get involved and tell them not to. But somebody who happens to talk about ghosts then starts talking about how Earth's measured flat, more power to them if they want to believe in ghosts. It's not our business. Same with ether. You want to talk about ether? Do what you like. Just don't get an in on a show about flat Earth and then waffle on about bleeding ether, making us all like rats. That's definitely not reasonable.
Well, now Candace Owens has been on a call with Witsit. So there that goes right down the tubes.
Hey, you could always go to her comment section.
I don't think you can.
See, now that was funny. I gotta laugh at that.
I ain't even joking. If you can, do it.
You're a funny guy.
I know. I'm hilarious.
Yeah, but Neil, the whole point is to not. You shouldn't have to tell somebody to make that separation if they understand the argument. Just make it themselves.
Yeah, and I'm
Understand?
Something going on with your
Vector,
thing,
Vector.
Chocolate.
Charlie, Vector to Rector Tango 1. Come in.
No, but she has seen through the nonsense. From what I hear, she's saying it doesn't prove anything, so that's good.
No, it does. They've got measurements. They've given us measurements.
Right, so, and there we go. No, but there we go. Credit to Flat Earth Debate. It's brilliant. Well done. So you spent your £40,000, Candice, to come to the conclusion that Flat Earth Debate was already telling you. It's a nothing burger. It's an affirming the consequent. Yeah? You can't go and make your experiment and your hypothesis after you've gone down there. Yeah? You can't. This is the trouble. And this is, it's not about, it's about recognizing what we've contributed. And there's once the bullshit has eaten itself, there's not going to be that much left. But the arguments that will be left are ours. It'll be the black swan. It'll be elevation angles. Yeah, it'll be all of these things, and recognise where they're from. Now, it's not to be egotistical, but it is to drill down and remind people, yeah, and recognise where your arguments are from and what they've been generated from. Most importantly, it's not because we're special. It's only because we've stuck to standards and we've had the benefit of each other to hold us to these standards. Yeah, we've had to take it's inherent to task, among as unpleasant as it has been, yeah, and detrimental to our rankings in this community. Detrimental, but we still did it because we had standards. And it's those standards that people need to remember, yeah. Not say all praise to the FED, but recognise why FED is still going. Why now people like Candice are accepting that what we said before you even went is the actual correct viewpoint. Yeah. And that what we've contributed is actually what's going to continue this. Not ether, flat earth elevation angles, yeah, black swans, all the things that we'll outline with ball destruction and flat earth proof, the things that we've built. The things that aren't in Eric Debay's 200 proofs, yeah, but the things that people can actually prove things to others.
Don't forget Bosch.
Bosch. Sorry, Boosh.
Why are you making this sound like Candice? Why are you saying this in like a vein that Candice has been speaking to us? It almost sounds like, from your tone, that somebody from our side's spoken to her and she's got all these things.
No, it's somebody from her side has done. She's obviously got researchers that have done a bit of investigation. And what has she come out with? What's the rhetoric that she settled on? It's the rhetoric we were trying to tell them before they went.
What rhetoric's that?
Yeah, that this is an affirming the consequent. This won't prove anything. It doesn't prove anything.
Am I missing something? Because she said that.
Well, that's what I've just heard you guys have said. So that's why I'm reacting to that. Now, it doesn't matter because that's the ultimate conclusion she will have to come to, yeah, because it's built on standards, and that's my point. It's not about getting any two-bit celebrity involved anymore. It's about recognizing that the things that people are picking up now after this debacle, they're ours. The things that people are clinging on to and moving forwards with are ours. Now, it's not to make you egotistical, but recognize it and allow it to empower you as we move forwards. When we talk to people, we are the Dang, yeah? We are the Flat Earth Debate crew, yeah? And the standards we hold ourselves to are the standards that people are gripping onto in this time of crisis.
No, you demand.
Solace in that.
Hold on, it's not being egotistical.
It's not
what we talk about here.
Take some pride in that. Because actually, when you look back on it and you look at as people flounder and what they are using, it's our arguments. And there is a level of pride, not ego in that, but a little bit of pride that actually, when we've been pissing in the wind, taking abuse constantly, actually it has paid off, hasn't it? When the shit really does hit the fan, post 24-hour sun, actually all our hard work has paid off because it's what people are falling back on now. Nobody's going, yeah, but the ether means it's okay, it's still flat. Are they? They're pissed, they're getting rid of it. They're calling these guys out now. As there aren't excuses, all there is truth. And the only truth to grab is what we've been presenting. Because we don't lie and we don't bullshit.
Yeah, you're right.
You
Measurements.
can't really run around promoting your ether if everyone, all they want to talk to you about is your vaping habits.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but to be fair, there are plenty of other people in the community who are also intelligent enough to put forth arguments, make logical critiques, point out things. You know, it's not like FED is the sole source for that. Okay, let's be fair here.
You demand. You demand.
I don't think anybody made that. I don't think anybody made that claim. That the word sole source wasn't in what I said.
Oh, I will.
So whoever that is.
I am the sole source of all of this information.
See, Nathan's trying to make
once
a
we've
joke.
done the work for you, Nathan, you are the sole source of it. Yes,
That's
once
correct.
we've done the hard work for you,
That's
you
right.
are correct.
And I deserve
Only
all the
insecure
credit.
people think that way.
And that's not what I was saying. Whoever said sole source, that wasn't the sentiment of what I was saying. Like I made it quite clear. It's not about being egotistical. Take a little bit of pride in the shit and how you've stuck by your guns and stuck by your standards. And now, on the other side of the corral, it's your standards that are being repeated. Yeah, doesn't mean you're the sole arbiters of truth. Didn't claim that. But just take a little bit of solace and pride in the hard work you've put in. See the outcome because it's here in front of us right now.
Yeah, we're not flipping Eric Debay. Come on.
Well, I was thinking it was going nowhere. Times I was like, Nathan, nobody's listening. But it's good to hear people turn and say, you know what? It's measured flat because they got nowhere else to go. They're cornered. They look stupid. I have to say it's measured flat now.
Well, I'll tell you what, Witset's got an excellent point. And yeah, I'm going to give props to Witset for this point. I'm going to say Witset one more time just to trigger people in the comments. What he said was, when I go on these really big platforms coming up, there's going to be a lot of people who really weren't that interested that are now going to come into the community from this venue going inward. So it behoove all of us, you know, to rise to that occasion when they arrive, to have something good to present them, right? And if our shot group isn't tight, to tighten it up. There you go. That's my comment.
Yeah, he came here and he asked to work together, and we told him to take a walk.
No, it's not about working together. Who cares about working together?
Witset.
Once again, propping up Witset.
Yeah, I'm propping up Witset, dude. Good grief. Do you even know how to pay attention, Neil?
No, I pay attention.
What did I say?
Believe me.
I said he's going to bring a lot of eyes, right, that are going to come in after these certain events. That's all. Good grief, dude.
Witset ain't bringing nothing.
I can't really disagree with that.
Witset's bringing his ether.
He has already done that.
Oh my, Neil, are you capable of paying attention, dude?
Are you capable of taking a walk? Is it possible?
Just chill out.
Holy crap, you got problems, Neil.
No, you got freaking problems. Listen to yourself. Go back and listen to a few videos.
Holy crap, Neil.
Anyway.
Need me to send you a package of hemorrhoid cream in the mail or something?
No need.
I mean,
Right,
what's
both
up
of you,
here?
chill out. It's both of you.
Need me to send you a fucking beating? How about that?
No need.
Oh, you threatening me again, dude?
No need. Both of you stop, please. Right, he's just saying people are going to be bored if Witsit does.
I'm tired of his fucking shit.
Neil,
chill out.
Neil, he just offered you an olive branch there, sending you some hemorrhoid cream. He obviously buys it in bulk, which is why he's prepared to give it you for free.
Look,
so just take the
humorous
olive
though it
branch.
is, no need. Let's all just take a step back for a second, right? Let's get to the actual point that I started with, which was in terms of what I can already say has happened. Witsit has brought eyes to my channel personally. Doesn't matter if they came from Vapegate. I don't care. Thanks, Witsit.
Yeah, there'll be more. There'll be more in the future. That's what I'm saying.
He'll be gathering at the receipts
all
of the
I'm
people
saying, for
ridiculing
goodness
him, no
sakes.
doubt, right? But if they come along to us and find better information because they saw him ridiculed on some big show, because he saw a 24-hour Sun and has now got to apologise for it as his opener, and that brings me an extra few subscribers, then I'll give him the good information as you have been suggested that Witsit has suggested to you. But he's being used as a pawn now because he's only got one use on the board for anybody who has him on. Now, I'm acutely aware of that. Now, in the vein that you're talking AI, he might gather up a few receipts and send a few people our way as a consequence. But so what? He's going to be there as a pawn to be ridiculed from this point forth, isn't he? He must realise that.
Yeah, he's vapes it. Vapes it now. That's his name. And that's what his own people did to him. Yeah. What AI is saying, I don't disagree with. I agree. They will, but why are they coming here? Because the argumentation presented by Witsit is no longer sufficient. They know it falls apart and they can't argue flat earth with what Ether proposes and what Witsit was presenting by just rambling in some diatribe about physics and celestial stuff, which is what he does in a big round. It's not sufficient for people that are still actually interested. They want to get to the truth, not just believe this guy that can talk really fast. Now they need to argue it for themselves because of this event. And that
Right, so let's go back.
Where
Let's
would
go back
Witsit
through some
point them?
stats. Let's go back through some stats. So remember, these guys said, okay, you guys say what you say, but guess what? We've got 90% of the community agreeing with us, right? Remember that quote? So now, after this, he's going through his comments, and I just watched it today, not from his channel. Someone else was posting it, critiquing this point, is that he's going through his channel and noticing that, like, from his own words, and I don't know how he did his math, I'm just saying his impression of his own community, is that 30 to 40% of who is, his frequenter comments are no longer into his vibe, So they're like, okay, there's something wrong here. So that 30 to 40% is now going to be, let's just say, for lack of a better term, looking elsewhere for answers, because they're not getting them from the people that they've been invested in, whether they're invested in because they think they're smart, whether they're invested in because they think they have good arguments, or whether they're just invested in because they think he's some kind of hero. Whatever the reason is, when you have such a thing happen, and people are like, oh, wait a minute, maybe I might have blinders on. I'm not seeing the bigger picture here, and I need to get a broader eye view, and that will cause them to seek out new venues, sure. And that's going to include this venue. That's going to include 24/7 Flat Earth Discord. It's going to include multiple streams and other things, which some of us don't even frequent that often, right? So there's going to be a huge turn tide, and it's going to be good in a way. And I think a lot of people notice that.
I agree. And Neil, that's what I got out of what AI said previously. So, like,
for example,
I know.
sometimes,
You don't get everything out of what AI
calm
says.
down. Sometimes calm down. There might be a slightly different layer to what somebody is saying than just to flip out. Yeah, it's just
So
the bitchiness, the hidden bitchiness behind it, Chocolate. That's the problem. Right, what he's done since that bit of cattiness, and he's come and he's engaged as a gentleman should, like the bit we've had between, absolutely fine. It's the poking of Neil.
Yeah. You mean where Neil was poking at 24/7 before I joined?
Don't overtalk me, Chumpwit.
I mean, good grief, dude.
Don't overtalk. Can you just deal with that overtalking for me, Nathan? Just while I finish my point. Okay. So there's obviously a little bit of tensions between people. And if somebody behaves in a particular way, like he did with me after being castigated, then we can move forward as gentlemen. But if he comes in with a dickhead attitude, it's not Neil's fault that he responds to the bitchiness. And I would expect him to do so. But the second AI actually acts like a grown-up man and comes in and talks properly without the
Holy
need
crap, dude.
for his catcalling and his unnecessary
Can we quit the belittling
snidiness,
already and
then
get to the meat and
what will
potatoes?
happen? You see what I mean? You see, he's so triggered.
Let
This is
me
the
talk
point,
about
Chocolate. Can you
AI and
see?
what he's doing
No,
and
you
what his
see, you've got to
emotional state is.
overtalk me
Blah, 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 blah,
because he
blah.
can't deal
Yeah,
with
dude, you're
a
talking about
decent...
me and my personality,
Okay, Nathan,
dude.
can you deal with that, please? Because
Shut up.
I'm not putting up with that bollocks, mate. I'm not putting up with it.
Let's
Okay?
hear it,
Mute me
Adam.
so that
I'm
he
going to
can
finish
talk
my
bad about me.
sentence.
Good
AI,
idea.
Shut this
That'll
muppet
look
up.
good
Hold
on the
on,
stream.
guys. Let's separate you for a second.
No holding on. Shut him up,
No, I'm
or
not
I'm
going to
leaving.
sit here and listen to him belittle me. Not going to
Nathan, your
happen.
call. 1, 2, thank you. Okay, so I will finish my point, as AI has to, because he can't hear the point. Because I'm not attacking him here. I'm actually trying to help the man. And I'm pointing out to him, if he comes in being a bit of a twat, then it's reasonable for Neil to recognise that twattiness and deal with it like we all did. Afterwards, when he's just been rebutted for being a twat and he then behaves normally, you'll see how our behaviour is then commensurate with his. Now, we are not going to apologise for him coming in being a twat and us pointing out he's being a twat. If he wants to, as a grown man, come in and be reasonable, then we will continue to be reasonable with him. But it's kind of up to him. And our response is based on him. Right? Unfortunately, Chocolate, he's got to this pathetic childishness. It's costing this Muppet a lot of money. It's costing, I'm nearly done. It's costing this Muppet a lot of money in super chats to try and persuade people that he's some kind of fucking snowflake victim.
No need.
Well,
Right,
he can
okay,
carry
stop.
on.
Okay,
he
stop.
can carry on with that, but it's not reasonable to put it to us when somebody's pissing on our face for us to smile. We ain't going to do it. Neither Neil,
keep yakking,
Brian, or myself.
Yada, 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 blah, blah, blah.
There you go. But you see why you've got so much hemorrhoid cream? You can offer it out for free.
Dude, you done yet? I mean, you done any time this century, dude?
Oh, yeah, I'm done, baby. So are you.
Dude, I'm not even going to dignify that retardation with a response,
You don't get how done you are. And when
Get
an
to the
olive branch
point,
is offered
dude.
to you,
Yeah,
you're still
yada,
so
yada,
arrogant.
yada, yeah. AI, blah,
See?
blah, blah.
Yada, 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 Nathan.
AI,
Only that. I
Keep
remember that
talking
on the
about it,
shows.
bro.
That's an instant. Yeah, you just mute him. Yada, yada, yada is not a response. It shows how weak your argument is. It shows how little balls you've got, how little of a man you are. When another man puts it plain to you and wants to shake hands and move forwards, you still act like a bitch. Carry on, bitch.
Well,
She's not a man.
Okay, right. Neil's responded.
I'm
AI's
not a
gonna get-
man now.
Okay,
Wow.
hold on, AI. Just
No,
respond
you're
to what he
not,
said.
you
What he put to
bitch.
you.
Oh, I'm not a man. Oh, yeah, I'm not even a man
Just
now.
stop. Just
No,
stop.
you're not acting like a man. You're
No,
acting
stop.
like a bitch. That's my point.
Neil's
What are you
responded to
talking
you.
about,
Oh,
dude?
stop. This started.
I said,
oh, God,
holy
please,
fuck.
please, please. You nipped at Neil's heels and just responded. You know you were nipping at him. Nothing.
This is the point. He won't admit it. And this is what we're talking about.
Dude, yeah, I do nip a little bit here and there.
Yada,
Guess
yada,
what?
yada.
So did
Yada,
Neil.
yada, yada.
Oh, come
Previously in the
on.
conversation. Holy fuck,
I'm
dude.
gonna round
What's the
out.
point, dude, of dealing with these morons?
Morons
Go
now.
away then. Go away. You're not
Morons.
welcome here.
Oh, see, that's what
Don't
you would
deal
wish.
with us.
Yeah, you
Piss
do
off.
wish that, brother. Guess what? Ain't gonna happen.